This call is being recorded.
Hell yeah, for two places. This is Toasted with Revolution News and Information. Real quick, before we start the call, I'm going to bring up something. If everybody's not aware of what's going on at the Dakota Access Pipeline, you all need to be. The Ohio Highway Patrol has been dispatched to Dakota, North Dakota. I find that to be a problem, but you want to know what? I've said what I've got to say. Welcome to the Sunday night call with Judge Bruce Doucette. I'm going to let him intro in. I yield.
Good night. Good night. Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another Friday night call of determining the deception that is the great, that is the Matrix. The great deception that is the Matrix. The whole purpose of this call is for us to be on the lookout for, one, what is happening in the end times, and to be able to identify those with Scripture as well, and two, to make sure that as things happen in these end times, that we make sure that people are not getting back into the Matrix and being tricked to do that by different things that the government may be trying and some of that stuff. So it's more for all of us to watch and all of us to comment, and if we see something, for all of us to speak up. Now, with that being said,
mute off.
With that being said, Judge Johnson, if you would start the call with a prayer, please.
All righty then. Keeping up with each other. Excellent. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? Great.
I can, yes.
Joseph and I were having a contest to see who could unmute me first. We were both losing.
Okay,
all right.
Would you start with the prayer, sir?
Absolutely. In the name of Yeshua, we lift this call up to the Father Yahweh. We thank Him for the tools necessary to get the job done, the direction of how to use the tools, and all the necessary things to get this all taken care of for His glory, the holy authority of Yeshua HaMashiach. We place a hedge of protection around this call and all on it to protect us from the evils that are out there. In the name of Yeshua, we stand in His holy authority for His glory. And in the name of Yeshua, be that so and be it done.
Make it so. Toasted, Greg, hang tight just for a second. Toasted, do we get Julie on?
Stand by. That's a negatory. I will call her right now.
Greg, no, it's okay. I'll call her and drop her in. Greg, take the call just for a minute, please, okay?
All right, roger that.
Thank you.
Sheesh, here we go again. I want to give a little bit of testimony. I got documents back from the passport service part of the Department of State from Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Greg, take the call.
Interesting. That was a very delayed echo, just put it mildly. And I asked Father what to do with that after I took some very deep breaths of a bit of infuriated anger with what I had received. And the Holy Spirit said to me, that's an interesting offer of contract they made to you called denied. I said, and I thought back, yep, that is an interesting offer of contract called denied. So I took their piece of paper, scanned it into my hard drive, and then I wrote a response on the same piece of paper, scanned it again so I'd have the before and after. And then I sent the documents to basically the head of their Department of Passport Services at the Harry S. Truman Building on D.C. I sent that registered mail because I am a non-domestic, and non-domestics need to do things registered mail. Now, Judge Curry would disagree with that since the living authority is the authority, and will decide how they want to send the mail, whether it's by stamp, whether it's by certified, whether it's by priority. The authority gets to make that decision as far as Judge Curry and Judge Byfield are concerned. My dad worked for the post office, so I know the post office, both sides of it. I sent it registered for the sake of showing the individual receiving that mailing that I did know both sides of it, that I wasn't going to play the I'm the authority, I'm this, that, the other, I can do whatever I want type of attitude. I was making sure to honor the situation completely. So she should get that by tomorrow, and I'm praying that in the name of Yeshua, it is handled as it ought to be, and I get the credentials due to me being an ambassador. And I thank our Heavenly Father for those credentials in the name of Yeshua. Both the book and the card, by the way.
Greg, I didn't get to hear all of that. So what credentials? Are we trying to do a state? Are we trying to do a state?
I'm not sure how all that washes out, so I'm shooting for ambassador.
Okay, did you get your 5-star?
No. That was what the denied letter was about, was because they didn't like my ID. So I sent a registered mailing to the head of that particular part, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs and Passport Services. I looked her up Monday night, and then got that in the mail Tuesday.
Are you doing this with the state or the federal government?
Federal. I'm not until I see the state version. I'm not sure how that all that washes out and works, because the state, as far as what's located in Denver, is a franchise of D.C.
Well, I know it is, but truly, if we're going to have diplomatic passports, those should come from the state and not from D.C. So
I get that, but I'm not sure Wayne W. Williams will cooperate, since he's the SOS up there, and I've met the man and shaken his hand a few times last decade. I know who that guy is, and he's a career politician, us also a bar attorney.
Well, we need to go pay him a visit in person and ask him how come he's not upholding his oath. First, we need to accept his oath, and then we need to ask him why he's not upholding it, and then we need to make him uphold it. But that's my opinion. Anyway,
that part of the course is that he's holding two positions that he can't even hold one. I'm presuming his bar status is still active, just like John Suthers down here on Colorado Springs. Therefore, he's an officer of the court, which is judicial, and he's also trying to hold a position in the executive branch of the corporation, which is two places at the same time that you can't do. That's my feel about that one. So I don't think he's going to give a hoot about our little stuff, as far as he's concerned.
Anyway,
however, you go up and blather with him. You're good at that. By the way, I want an update from you on this call at this moment, if you wouldn't mind, please, on Judge Mickey. Pretty please with sugar on top.
I called the Judge DW had called me Friday night and informed me of what was going on. Unfortunately, I was doing a movie with my wife at that time, so I kind of gave him instructions and asked him if he could try to handle it. Saturday morning, when I turned my phone back on and turned the computer back on, I realized that it hadn't been handled yet. So I actually had Bella Haywood and Judge DW on the phone, and I called the sheriff's office, and I asked to talk to the sheriff, because ultimately he is the one that is responsible for whatever his deputies do. And and asked him to give me a call back. Well, of course, it's the weekend, and so I still have not heard back from him. I would think that they cannot hold her more than 72 hours, so they should be releasing her tomorrow. But my first call in the morning will be to the sheriff.
Okay.
So
that 72-hour thing is provided she didn't sign anything.
No, her husband, I talked to Ben, and Ben said that the whole reason they grabbed her is because she wouldn't sign anything.
Maybe before that, it's not a priority to get those issues done. But
Interesting. I think there's also vendetta for what she did for Jan Linda.
It could be, but, we're going to get this straightened out one way or the other, and we'll get her out. So,
fabulous. That is. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I yield the floor.
Well, And, remember, people, when we handle things like this, we cannot handle it in anger or in fear. And Judge D.W. and Marshall Haywood could both tell you how I handled it with them. We have to look at this as an educational opportunity, because even though they've done something wrong, these people, these sheriffs, these police officers, they all think they have the right to do the things that they do because they've been told that. And so we really, if we want to get through to them, we can't be in anger, because if we're in anger, we're not going to get them to respond at all. We have to simply look at it as a chance to educate them and be very kind and courteous with that. Now, with that being said, we have Jules on the phone. So, Julie, would you go ahead and, before we get started with, and what this call is about, Julie, is it's about trying to identify things for people, both the time in these end times and things that the government may do and that may happen to people to get them back into the matrix. One of those things would be voting. We don't want to be voting, people. If you've gotten out of the matrix and then you go register to vote, you just put yourself right back in the matrix again. So anyway, with that said, Julie, would you fill everybody in on what happened with the Bundy trial?
Yes. Well, everybody knows that we won. So.
Yes. And my poor Julie, she called me, as soon as she heard the verdict, and was just in tears. We could not get her to stop crying, I swear. But it was tears of joy. Go ahead, dear.
Absolutely. It was such a relief, too. It was the weirdest thing, because I was busy making I was hoping it would be the last motion on that case. I had typed up a motion for an identity hearing, or a demand for a identity hearing, and I had spent the morning trying to convince the county to let me file Ryan's his verified declaration, and they as well as some DBA papers for somebody in that area. And they they're crazy. You got to go over there, and they tell you to go back, and they both admit that that's what they do, is tell everybody to go there, and that place has agreed to tell them to go back. So anyway, so
did we not get that filed? Because really, I wanted to get that filed in. I wanted to get that filed in Oregon and then do it again in Nevada.
No, I'm going to file it on the public record in Texas. Hang on just a second.
Oh, that'll work. If we file it in Texas first and then do it again in Nevada, that will work. Okay.
Well, on the land is on the land, right?
Right.
So,
there you go.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm trying to tell you guys is, if you meet any obstruction that you just can't get through, you just create your own remedy. Just go a different route. We can beat them no matter what game they want to play with us. So,
and trust me, with Oregon, people that don't know this, because Julie was in charge of Ryan's defense, and we were, Roger and I and some other people, we had a good team put together trying to figure out what to do in the background. But every single thing that we threw at them that should have been lawful and should have caused the judge to release Ryan, they ignored. This judge was absolutely committing treason and, gave the prosecution as much time and as many witnesses as they wanted. When it came down to the defense, they had 40-some witnesses they wanted to call, and the judge would only let them call four or five of them. So, really, this was a complete miracle as far as I'm concerned, that we got the non-guilty verdict on all charges. Anyway, go ahead, Julie. I'm sorry.
Well, and first off, let me correct you. Ryan was in charge of his defense.
Correct. And we were assisting.
Yeah. And but as far as, because we basically ran two teams parallel, right? So we had people working on the legal side, and then we had me working on the I guess you could say the private side.
Excuse me for a second. Can I just ask a quick question? Is there a signing code?
I would rather you wait. I would rather you wait on questions right now. Okay, just hang tight.
No,
okay. So
someone's trying to get in the call, and I need to know if there's an access code.
Just hang tight a second and let her finish. And somebody on this call, we're polite. Until somebody says they yield, then you're not allowed to interrupt them. Continue, Julie.
Okay, I apologize, but I'm asking if there's an access code to this call, because I have a friend that's trying to join but cannot access.
No, it should be the 866 call. There is no access code for it, unless you're a panel member, and they shouldn't be coming in as a panel member.
Okay, I apologize.
So,
go ahead.
That's okay. All right, Julie, go ahead.
Well, so I was working the accounting side, right? Basically the private side. So, but once we did throw the DBA in there, then I moved into the legal side, which complicated some relationships. But here's the thing: is and I don't know how much time you guys will allow me to talk.
You've got as much time as you want, but let's explain to people a couple of things, because you tend to go a little quick sometimes and people don't get it. So what we did. When Julie is talking about legal and lawful side of things, what we did is separated the person, the fiction, from the man. And we were running a team, one team to protect the person, and one team to protect the man. And so we had both legal and lawful documents that we were filing at the same time. Now go ahead and take over, Julie.
Well, and I had I was also just to be clear about what we were doing. What is I was kind of an overseer on the protecting the person as well, because while you're protecting the person, I wanted to make sure that in the efforts of the people working on the person, that they weren't treading on the man, and that separation maintained. So,
Julie, as far as I'm concerned, you were in charge of the whole thing, and whatever Ryan's wishes were, and we were informing, of course, Ryan, what we were doing in the paperwork and what it meant, but, you were in charge of both sides, dear. I'm sorry.
Ryan, I tell you, Ryan was, and especially under his circumstances of being locked up and remaining in captivity, what an awesome job he did of managing us all very well. And it just, I wish I could just give y'all every single detail. But anyway, I want to tell you what I think happened here. And I have seen some posts on Facebook about it was jury nullification, and I want to be very clear that is not what happened. But ultimately, the jury decided this thing, and wow, what an amazing thing. But I want to back up and tell you guys a little story, if you'll let me, that I don't know how many of y'all ever heard about the little bakery that got sued and had to shut down because they would not bake a cake for a non-traditional couple. And when I had first woke up and this was happening, I was thinking, wow, you know what? It almost looks like God lost that thing, right? And I got to thinking that what they had done wrong was they didn't bring God into the courtroom, right? Because he just showed it to me that that he wasn't invited there, and they were standing on religious beliefs that they have the right to, but they didn't. I thought that things could have gone very differently, and that when they walked into the courtroom, they left God outside of those doors. And what I think is beautiful, looking back at the email that I sent that couple, having just woke up, I think about that email and I think, wow, what if the stand that Ryan took with regards to the man and standing firm, he said, I want to see this all the way through to the end. And people were telling him, Julie's going to get you sent to prison forever. She's a fed. She's this. She's that. She's deceitful and tricking you, and she's brainwashing you. And through thick and thin, we stood together on this thing. And he said, nobody's going to convince me that this won't work because we haven't seen it to the end, So, and it's amazing his fortitude to press on with all of the negative stuff that he had to filter through about what in the hell was I doing there. And it's just beautiful. It's so beautiful that when you operate in the spiritual realm, I'm telling you guys, there's no way. Look, here's what happens. Okay, you get in these federal cases. Okay, 80-something% of federal cases get pled out. Why? Because they come in there and they scare the crap out of everybody. This is what we're going to do to you. This is how many years we're going to get you for, right? And we have a 97% win rate. You're done. And they scare people. They scare innocent people into guilty pleas just to try to spare something of their life, right? Well, here's what happens. That's 80-something%. We'll say 15. We'll say 15% that's left, probably about 12 or so. Anyway, of that, about 12 to 15%, of that 12%, they have a 97% win rate. They only have to win to get those statistics. We're only talking about 12% of these cases even go to trial, okay? So once they get you in there, now they have a 97% win rate, okay? For us to face all those charges and all those defendants, right, and to get all not guilty, do you know what we did to them? I mean, shamed them. Without mercy, we shamed them. But here's the thing is, in this situation, I'll never be able to prove it. But in this situation, when Ryan brought God into this thing, when Ryan took a stand, we affected the spiritual realm, and we affected those people. And you'll never convince me otherwise. Not that I did anything or Ryan did anything, but the steps that we followed from instructions from the Spirit, we affected the spiritual realm, which affects this human realm, this flesh realm. Look, I mean, when you look at those percentages, look what happened. It's unheard of. It's unheard of.
It was a miracle. It was a miracle, and I agree with you 100%. This was God's handiwork. And we had all of the defendants, not just Ryan, but Ammon and all of them, had the fortitude to include God. And that's why they all won. And I will tell you, from being on the compound, being at the bird sanctuary and being in the inner circle meetings with these people every morning, this was a spiritual group. We started the meetings every morning on our knees praying, and when we finished the meeting, we were back on our knees praying again for God's guidance and to do His will. With that, I yield.
Well, and Bruce, you and Roger Dowdell, y'all know I fell apart at the end because when that note came from that juror, I started doing math on this thing, and I was like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so when Ryan and I were communicating through email, he said, no, I think you're seeing this thing wrong. And I told him, no, I think you are, and you need to be ready. And but here's the thing. I had told him, I said, okay, Ryan, I see from your perspective, I see what you're saying, but just look at it from mine for just a second. And, you know, I don't know if you see it your way from your perspective of hope, if that's what you hope is going on in that jury room, and it's quite possible that what the perspective I have on this note could be based on my perspective of my worst fear. And so he was dead on. He was dead on. They were hung up on the Shauna, Ryan, and Ammon. And anyway, so you know, when Ryan would fight the bit, I would calm him, and when I would fight the bit, he would calm me, right? But here's the thing: was in this instance, there was no convincing me. I was willing to look at it a different way, but it just wouldn't work. And so I was totally prepared to have to stand up in court and tell them that I am Ryan Bundy and that I do not accept their verdict, and that I am the people, and I overturn your verdict, and I witnessed treason, and this, and so I had like 100 different things, you know, and I'm like, God, what will I do? What will I do? And it was very frightening because there's nobody but me, and I'm not going to sit there, and I'm not that type of person. So they had warned us, nobody makes a peep, not so much as a gasp from this audience or anybody in here, or you will be drugged out of here. So I was just thinking, oh my God, you know, either way it goes, how am I going to react to this? I've never had such a monumental moment in my life, and probably I thought that because that was the moment that I was in at the time. But when they said on Ammon, on the conspiracy charge, they said not guilty. And I lost it right there. The marshal was right there in front of me. He's telling me, you better stop it, you better stop it. I could not stop it. Tears just gushing down my face like a waterfall. I couldn't breathe. Thank God I was sitting. I probably would have just died on the spot. I shook like I was shaking so bad while they read every one of those verdicts. I had tears pouring down my face and shaking like I was in a blizzard. The guy next to me, well, see, here's what happened was when I got there to file that for an identity hearing, as we're walking up, Dwayne Schrock had drove me back to the courthouse, and we were walking up to the courthouse, and we were told that the jury had either a question or they had a verdict. And I just hauled butt up there to the clerk's office, filed that identity hearing, back down the elevator, across the building, up the elevator, give the copies to the prosecutor's office, serve them, and then get to the courtroom. Sit down in the courtroom. We get the last two seats. Now, what are the chances? When they tell us we're going to have the verdict in 30 minutes, and I'm thinking, oh, dear God, because what are the chances that I'm there? What are the chances? And I'm like, oh, my God, God wants me here because I'm fixing to have to raise a ruckus, and they're going to haul me out of here, either to the insane asylum. Right. So it was even worse.
And if anybody doesn't know Julie, they would have been hauling her out of there. I mean, really, she would not have given up.
Well,
not to the last minute. You know,
I was prepared. But listen to this: when they attacked Mumford, I grabbed the bar the little pony wall. I grabbed that because I was on that front row there. I grabbed that pony wall, and I was about to go over, and I just, listen, and I know you guys don't know me, but I have jumped into so many situations without thinking. I just don't think. I just act, and, that's not always a good thing. But anyway, so Dwayne had to grab me, put me back in my chair, and I was hardly even aware of it. And I just kept shaking, and all of a sudden, he's pulling me back down in the chair. 3 times he had to put me back in that chair because I was just outraged. I was outraged at what was happening in front of me, and nobody, nobody's helping. And that's what we do. And I got to be honest, I'm not sure it wasn't staged. When, after I got out of the courtroom, I gave some people some hugs. I was just so emotional. I rode down the elevator right away. I came outside. I was probably one of the first ones outside, and I walked around for a few minutes. And when everything started getting, a lot of press and everything, I just went around the corner. So I didn't want in any of the videos and stuff, but y'all, that was so insane. But I did think while I was around the corner, while everything was going on, I was thinking, well, you know what? There was a few things that didn't make sense about that. Anyway, it did make me wonder if there was anything about, well, if this thing goes down this way, then he would do that. It's going to take some press away from the verdict or whatever. But anyway, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. But it was something else to see. So anyway, but gosh, I thought I was going to have to pull some, stunt or something, because I just was not going to sit there and let that happen. But anyway, so, and I also want to say this one other thing real quick, because some people are upset with me because I haven't been able to keep up with phone calls really, and people wanting me to do phone, calls like this, and especially one person in particular. I'm sorry you're upset with me. I'm so sorry. But I was the thing is that he can't even really enjoy the fact that the verdict came down the way it did, because they still have him, and that's very frustrating for him, very upsetting. And so he asked me to do another filing, and but as of today, I'm just letting someone else do that. And anyway, I do apologize, and I'm going to be kind of stationary for a couple of weeks and available to do phone calls. And I'm so sorry that if anybody has misunderstood that, that's not my intention, and I want to be available the next couple of weeks while I'm working on kind of putting some things back together that, some screws have come loose, and no, not in my head, but some screws have come loose, and I need a breath, and so I'll be able to, talk to you guys more and everything. So I just want to say that, because I've gotten some stuff. People are frustrated with me, and so I'm sorry for not being that available. But I know you guys are getting a lot of this information off of Facebook and stuff, so it's not like you guys, haven't got to hear what happened. But it is so incredible and not an accident. And I thought that my actually accidentally being in the courtroom for that verdict, I thought that was probably going to mean that I was going to have to pay a high price. But anyway, I think God just wanted me to be there just for the experience. And
He does work in amazing ways, doesn't he? And
yeah.
And another thing that we need to point out, Julie, to everyone listening to this call and everyone that may listen to this call in the future. People, we still have people in jail. We still have Nevada to do as well. We have more people in Oregon, and they all need your prayers. And prayers from everybody and our Heavenly Father is what allowed us to win this. So please keep those prayers up and don't forget those people. I mean, I'm part of this because I'm not forgetting those people. You know, I'm honoring them. Those were honorable men that I was on that compound with, and I want to make sure I'm doing everything that I can to help.
Oh, these are our heroes, guys, and you know, there's people that are doing things, that have been doing things, that are calling themselves patriots or supporters of our patriots, whatever. You know, I don't look favorably on the word patriot, but they're, in spite of all that, there's still all this stuff going back and forth between people, and I just want to say, because who knows who's going to listen to this later. You know, this is the first time that I've spoke to anybody other than privately with Bruce and Roger. So, you know, people may want to listen to this later. I'm not at the computer. I don't know how many people are on this call, but I do want to say a couple of things real quick. I noticed that that one patriot, one of our defendants, was still kind of having to defend himself, and you know, I sent him a message, and I just told him, you know, you guys, these guys have changed your world. If you'll let this propel you, this can be even more huge than you ever imagined. We have case law that can be used now. We have, I mean, gosh, these guys are so noble. But I do want to say, since this is the first time that I've spoke, I do want on this recording that it has been an absolute honor to stand and fight with Ryan Bundy, and I so appreciate the fact that, and I recognize that Ryan is the reason that God woke me up in the first place. And so I thank him for that. And I thank him for being brave and a pioneer of more than just what he and I was trying to do for you guys, to show you guys. And I remember the day when we were looking towards the end, trying to see the end, and he says, I'll be a pioneer. Because I told him, look, these things that I'm trying with you haven't been tried in this way, and he said, I'll be a pioneer. And I told him so many times that you guys were pulling for him, that so many people that he had no idea that were watching what we were doing and just praying for success, because, you know, we may be on a smaller scale fighting these same things and using these same things, right? But for him to do it while so much of the world was watching, to swallow his pride, to tell his family, no, I'm going to see this through, in spite of the fact that, you know, a lot of the members of his family didn't understand what we were doing. And so they were rightly concerned about him and his state of mind, as far as, you know, what has she done to his, you know, thinking and stuff. And so I understand that, but I just, wow, what a guy. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to beg, I'm going to borrow, I'll do everything but steal to get those recordings out there. I want everybody to be able to experience this awakening that Ryan went through. And I want to make every word that we said public for you guys to just experience. This is such an incredible awakening. Anyway, I don't know how hard or how expensive it's going to be to get those recordings from them, but it is a taxing agency, the Securus, and everything is recorded. I only had one conversation with Brian that wasn't recorded. At the end, all the emails, like I want you guys to just see it and see what a beautiful, beautiful story it was. Just hurricane proportion, really. It's just neat. It was just super neat. So anyway, that's it. And plus I thank y'all for letting me.
Well, no, don't go too far too fast, because one thing that I would like to announce to everybody is, I'm trying to put a panel together for this show, and Julie will be a part of that panel. So you can tune in every Sunday and listen to her little voice out there fighting to save the world.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm going to keep trying. To.
We all are.
To change the world. Yeah. I want us all to just lock and load, man. I mean, we have to
lock and load with the Spirit.
Yeah.
Lock and load with the Spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I would like for people to, there's so many of us in these, I say comparatively speaking, in these smaller cases, right? And
this is a huge case.
They're happening. But these are on smaller scales. The same thing is happening to people. And, they don't have a great part of the world watching, but they need our support. And, we need to be rushing to each other's court dates, and we could be standing together a lot better than what we are doing, and I'm talking about on these smaller scales. There are people around you that are trying to do in their case what was just accomplished in Oregon, and there's just no support. And nobody coming, right? Nobody coming to witness, and there's nobody coming to stand in the gap for them. There's nobody, like in particular. There's a lady in well, I'll just not say the state, but I think that state has lost its mind. And everybody says, well, their state is the worst, and I think my state is the best. But most people say that their state is the worst. But literally, I think hers may be the worst. But the thing is there's nobody to walk into court for her, right? Like she needs. I'm trying to get her to Texas, and for her to have an ambassador in her state that will go and carry this thing out as an administrator. And it's such a simple thing, really, to go in and administrate somebody else's case. Let them administrate yours or somebody. But we just need to be thinking about, we need to be there. We need to be there for each other. And I know that if and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am saying I know if I can leave Texas and go to Oregon, I know you can go one state over. I know you can go two states over, right? So I know that we can start being there for each other. And, as far as if you're doing the DBA, if you're following along with that, have somebody that you put on there that they can go in there and they can administrate for that name. So don't just put your name on it. You're in jeopardy. And but there's really nothing they can do to the other person, because there is no way that they can prove that man or woman is surety for that name. So we really need to be back to back.
If I can, Julie.
Yeah.
Julie is very correct. This is all of, and everything that I've done from the very beginning on this is all about, this whole thing that people want to call a movement and all of that. It started with a couple of states coming together and each state helping the other, and that has grown from that now to, I believe we have 32 states now that are all in the process of having their common law grand juries and their common law courts set up and setting up assemblies and people to support one another. But if I can, I would like to recap on the Bundy case for a minute, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, Julie, but really, people, when you have cases like this, and this case here as well, in my very opinion, the only thing that won this was bringing God into the court and putting complete faith in Heavenly Father. And we need to do that with each and every one of our cases. This is a spiritual war that we've been fighting. I've been trying to tell people that all along. And this very evil government that is in charge of these courts and stuff, it's more than what we're seeing. Look at the very meaning of the word legal. The 1893 Britannica Encyclopedia definition of legal is the undoing of God's law. That should tell you something right there. Then when you look at the fact that the government has made it legal to lie to the people, well, what's one of the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt not bear false witness. Then you look at the fact that the government has 100 million statutes and codes, and if you don't obey them, then they will throw you in jail. What is that all about? That is about the fact that the government has made themselves out to be God. And what is the very first of the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt have no other God before me. So this is about the government trying to steal your soul. And if you're not willing to bring Heavenly Father into that court with you when you go, they're going to get your soul. So to recap on this case, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, this case would not have been won and not with the magnitude it had unless every one of these defendants hadn't brought God into that court with them. And that's why they were all successful. And I'll yield with that.
And when you guys talk about this case, it's for God's glory. Nobody else's, because, and that was mine and Ryan's goal all along, was how does God get the glory at the end of this thing? So, and I'm going to tell you guys, I was kind of hinting at it, but he stayed faithful right to the end, and even at the end where I started operating in fear, that what was it, 2 days? Bruce, was it 2 days that I was?
It was a couple of days while we were waiting for the jury to replace jury number 11 and stuff. Yeah.
So it was like a, and I called Roger. Gosh, I didn't even think about the time frame, the time zones, and I called him. Oh my gosh, it was so late. When I started panicking, I was like, oh no. When I did the math, and anyway, but he did not falter. And he was like, no, it's not the way you're seeing it. So what an example of how to just stay steady as a rock, and just stand on that rock and stand firm. I mean, for you guys to even begin to fathom the amount of pressure that he had to endure to push people back, leave her alone, right? Even Gavin, the guy with the video camera was attacking me. Yeah, him and his little video camera. He was attacking me. He didn't mention my name in his videos, but it's very clear he's talking about me. And then in the private, he has more than one account, and he was attacking me through private messages through Facebook. And so both of us, and it wasn't just Gavin, but anyway, the thing is that both of us to hang on to each other, and I don't mean that in a weird way. Don't start that. But even for us to hang on to each other in that way, and that goal, and that life raft, so many people attacking that, and what is incredible is that no matter what anybody did, it did not break that bond, that spiritual bond that God gave us, and he just, of course, he had to endure more than I did. But at the end, and I wish I could have opened my eye. I couldn't even see through the tears. I didn't even get to see him stand there. I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand it when I heard his name, and I knew he was standing up. I could not look. I did not want him to stand. But how beautiful that is to stand there. I did not want him to stand there by himself and hear a verdict. But the thing is that Ammon had just got all not guilty, right? So I knew he was out of jeopardy. I can't tell you. I can't tell you what it was like. I wish I could, but that cowboy sitting next to me, he had to keep nailing me down to that chair. But anyway.
Well, and
I don't know.
some other things
I don't know why people weren't dancing in the street. Really, I mean, still to this day. But
they were too busy crying, Julie. Really, people. Again, I want to say something that what Ammon and Ryan and all of them did was truly honorable. It was necessary. Somebody had to stand up against this government, this tyrannical government, and say no more. And I know a lot of people were trying to say, oh, they didn't do it the right way, and they didn't do it this way and that way. No, I totally disagree. I do not think there was any other way to do this, and I think what they did, they've been 100% vindicated with it. And so somebody had to do it, and now was the time, and they picked the most peaceable way of going about it possible. And now it's time for the rest of the nation to look at that example and to stand up and not be afraid, not be in fear. I mean, look at those of us that are judges, and I've been doing this. The Bundy thing's only been going on for a year, but there are those of us that have been screaming at the top of our lungs about the corruption in this government for many years now, and not doing it in fear. And when you learn to lose that fear, you can be successful. But my salute goes out to Ammon and to Ryan and to all of these people for what they're doing. And now let's make that mean something, people. Let's come together and let's take our country back lawfully and peaceably. I don't mean pick up guns and go start a revolution, because that's what the evil ones want us to do, because they don't care if the people are police or FBI or us. They look at us all as pawns, and they have insurance policies on all of us, and they want to see the police. They want to see us kill the police and the police kill us. That's exactly what they want to see. I don't want to see that, and we can do this without doing that. But it's going to take everybody getting off their couch, standing up, becoming a marshal or a grand jury administrator or a judge in your state, and getting your state organized, getting your county organized, and let's take this back, people. With that, I'll yield.
Well, and I will say that we have to back each other's play. There's nobody There's nobody who can win or be successful without support. And, you know, when your back is exposed and you don't have anybody standing back to back with you and willing to go all the way to swallow their fear, to get rid of fear completely, you'd have to shed your flesh. So let me tell you something. I've been scared this whole time, okay? But you just have to push through it. And, but I, you know, and I certainly do not, I have to be real careful about how I say this. To be clear, I do not want people going and having shootouts. Okay, I do not. But they have occupied the promised land. They have occupied it. And when the children of Israel, and that's our ancestors, when the children of Israel came to the promised land, it was occupied. It was occupied. And God said, take it. He did not say, stand there and sing choruses or hymnals. Okay? He said, take it. It's yours. Take it. Because you're never, ever going to have anything that he has offered you if you don't take it. And whatever, I shouldn't say whatever, you've got to take it. And you're not going to take it sitting on your couch. You're not going to take it by watching Facebook to find out what happened with the Bundys. Get up and stand. Stop it. Stop talking about it. Stop thinking about it. Stop talking about it. Get up and do it. Okay? Here's the thing with our Marshall situation is that everybody, there's this large group of people that want to do it, right? And the thing is, get up and do it. I don't want to hear about it. I want you to do it because there are no numbers, and that's the only way that you're going to cause fear in the other side is when they see up on the ridge an incredible number standing in array with the intention of getting into disarray if necessary. You understand? David walked out there to beat Goliath, and on both sides of him, both armies were in array, and that means that they were spit shine. They had no intention of getting into battle with each other, none whatsoever. And we cannot be that way. Stop being in array and get in disarray. Get in there, get your hands dirty, and take it. And if that means that you put a badge on your chest, do it. You don't have to wait for thousands or even 1 million to do it.
And now I'm going to interrupt you now and say, now that we're done with this Bundy case, it is time for you to take your oath as a Superior Court judge. And I want that done ASAP.
Yes, I am going to do that.
So there's the motivation for there's the motivation for everybody else. If Julie's going to do it, everybody else needs to get off the couch and do it. Go ahead, Toasty.
Hey, I got a question here. Is it completely over, or is there things still going on in Nevada that we should be concerned with? And I yield.
Go ahead, Julie. I'll let you answer that.
Well, I know that everybody's attention has been on Oregon, right? And the problem is that most people aren't even aware that Nevada has been ongoing, right? They've been having all their status hearings. That train is running down the tracks already while these guys were tied up in Oregon dealing with Oregon and trying to spin that plate in Nevada as well, okay? So certain motions at this point, they've said, okay, well, they've met all these deadlines. Okay, this deadline for this and this deadline for that. So when Ammon and Ryan get to Nevada, they're over halfway into that one. So I'm not sure if everybody is aware of that because Oregon has been so paramount up until this point. So,
and we're already working with people in Nevada as well, and we will continue to work with Ammon and Ryan and anyone without a lawyer in Nevada as well.
Yeah. Well, now, and I do believe that Ryan has an attorney in Nevada because he couldn't manage all that. But so I'm not sure what he's going to do in Nevada. But I recommended to him today to start with the thing that we finished with, which is the identity hearing. I would like for Ryan to demand the identity hearing, and so if I can, let me talk about that for just a second.
You can.
So
go ahead.
We had put in back in July his I am statement, okay, and that's his verified declaration. And anyway, that stood unrebutted.
That is him coming out of the matrix. Just to clear it up for people, okay?
Yeah. So so here's the thing: is that was unrebutted, and I don't know how to get all these motions out to everybody that were put in during the time that I returned to Oregon. I have to say, some pretty incredible stuff went in from me, and it was not just me. I had people that were making suggestions, and then I would have to take those and work with those. And you guys, I had to learn how to do motions in, like, what was it, a week and a half? So I know if I can do these things, you guys can too. We have to be flexible, and we have to be ready to bend, right? So the tree in the wind, it's got to bend with the wind, right? If you're not flexible, you're just going to snap in half. So with the identity hearing, I used what was it? I don't know if the whole thing was 43 pages or if it was several things that were 43 pages. I don't know. It was huge. Okay, and I took that thing and I just snatched and grabbed from it and put together a demand for an identity hearing, because my point was, look, you've got the agent and you got the principal. Who do you want? You can't have both, and you cannot go after the agent. You can only go after the principal. So,
Julie, use man in person.
Yeah.
That'll be easier for them to understand.
Right. Well, the principal is the name. That's the person. Okay. That's what they think that they have jurisdiction over. They know they don't have jurisdiction over man. I would like to see people, and I will be doing this in Texas. I thought about just scaring them to death, but then I thought, what an opportunity it would be to kind of play with the food for a few minutes and just toy with them. Because,
Julie.
Yeah. Well. And I would love to tell you guys about what happened with that, if I can. But
yeah, go ahead. You have plenty of time. When we're done here with this discussion, then we're going to open it up for questions for people. So you go ahead and take whatever time you want to.
Okay, so some exciting things happened. But, Bruce, don't let me forget to come back to the phone call while I was on the 18th. Okay, so here's the thing with the identity hearing was to demand, is to stand there and say, do you or do you not have jurisdiction over man? Can you come after the agent and the principal? And do you have evidence or law that says that you can hold me as surety for this name? So it's a very unique thing, and I would really like for people to really take that thing and grab it, make it even better. You guys take a few minutes, please. Take a few minutes. Sign up for Pacer. If you never use it again, that's fine. But take a few minutes, sign up for a little thing on pacer.gov you're just going to go up to, once you do, you'll go up to the top right-hand corner and you'll sign in there. There's two different places. One's for attorneys and one's for us non-bar members, okay? So there's I think what I might do is put the steps and add on my website. I need to do some work on that thing and tell you guys how to go right through that. But you can figure it out. But anyway, just keep hitting query, okay? But here's the thing. If y'all can go on there and grab those documents, I'm going to put them into my Skype room too. But take a look at those and make them better, because those things were done very quickly. I'm sure a year from now I'll look back and I'll laugh at those silly little things, probably see a bunch of mistakes or whatever, but we can do this so much faster if you'll just take what I did, make it better, and go in there and enforce it, okay? Make them prove that they have jurisdiction over man. Just deal with it directly, okay? So anyway, I want to tell y'all with the Love hearing. So I don't know if any of y'all listened to the recording when I was talking to the judge on what they call the arraignment. Okay, he spends about 5 seconds with everybody. He came in there and told us that he was going to put not guilty for everybody. And anyway, so when I get up there, the first thing I tell him is, you're not going to talk to me that fast. I made him spend 25 minutes with me based on the recording. I calculated the time, okay? It was about 25 minutes, okay? People were sighing and getting all worked up behind me. But anyway, so I worked him over pretty good there. Now, then I sent him a letter and a self-addressed stamped envelope for him to send me his oath of office. Because what he wanted one of the things he was asking me, because I told him, I said, yeah, I'll probably represent the person. He says, what person? I pointed to his desk, and I said, that person, Julie K. Embry. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, and then he asked me, he says, have you ever been treated for any psychological, whatever they call it? And I told him, I don't give out private information. And he's like, well, I have to ask you, so that I can determine if you can represent yourself or not. So I was going to tell him to fill out a FOIA form, right? And I said, well, let me explain. I said, now, let's say that I wanted, say, your oath of office. You're going to tell me to fill out a FOIA, right? You're going to ask me to, jump through these hoops. And he's like, nope. If you want that, you can have it. And I was like, what? And he was like, absolutely. I said, okay. Okay. That's wonderful. I said, do you know what it says? And he says, well, not exactly, but I kind of. And I was like, well, can you tell me what your oath was? And so he took bits and pieces. He goes, oh, it was something like this, Anyway, so I sent him a letter, and I said, hey, I got to thinking about our conversation at our business meeting, and it occurred to me, I think that the court is in error. And I think that you're operating on the presumption that I am somehow surety for this name. So I want to be clear. I want to correct your errors. If you are presuming that, I want to make sure you understand that you're in mistake, right? So you guys, obviously, I'm paraphrasing. You can see the exact letter with my signature and everything, I believe. In my Skype room, okay? So anyway, I sent him the self-addressed stamped envelope. I told him what I wanted him to do. And anyway, so this was set for the 25th. We were going to have another business meeting, okay? Now, I called on the 10th, and they said that it was scheduled for the 19th. I said, no, it's not. Well, yeah, it is. No. I'm looking at my schedule, and it's not on the 19th. It's still on the 25th. And you know how I know that? It's because I'm the only one who's authorized to put anything on the schedule for the name Julie K. Embry. I'm the only agent authorized to do so. Therefore, I know there's nothing scheduled with that company on the 19th. Oh, there's all this hoo-ha going on and blah-de-blah. I'm like, well, deal with it because I'm not going to be there. I didn't schedule that meeting, and that meeting was not scheduled with me. So, therefore, there is no meeting on the 19th. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. So I called the court coordinator because that was on Monday. I called on Thursday, left a message. Oh, there seems to be a mistake. I'm getting secondhand information that you have scheduled something on the 19th, and I'm just letting you know you're not permitted to schedule anything on the schedule for Julie K. Embry without consulting me because I'm in charge of the schedule, and I am the only authorized agent to do so. So put it back on the 25th as agreed, and I'll see you guys then. So I called the next day, which was Friday, left a similar message, no callback. So on the 17th, I call the bond people again, and they said, yep, it's on the 19th. I'm like, I don't think you guys are really understanding. There's nothing on the 19th. Yes, there is, and if you don't come, I'm like, I don't think you want to go there. So that was on Monday. Now they're thinking I'm going to be there on Wednesday, okay? So we hang up, and the next day, which is Tuesday, they're thinking I'm going to be there tomorrow on Wednesday, on the 19th, and my phone rings. And I am in Oregon at the federal courthouse, and it's an 817 number. Answer. This is, what's it called, Judge Hawker, blah, 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 and what is this I hear that you're not going to be in court tomorrow? And I'm like, well, what is this that I hear that you've scheduled something, right? You and I agreed that we'd have another business meeting on the 25th, and tomorrow's the 19th, and here you are thinking I'm going to be there, right? And he's like, well, look, I don't want to put anybody in jail. I don't like putting people in jail. But if you're not here tomorrow, you're required to be here tomorrow. And if you're not, I don't want to have to put a warrant out. And I said, I don't recommend that you do. And he said, well, you have to be here tomorrow. I said, no, I do not. In what world, Mark, do you live in that you think that you can tell me, to be somewhere on the 19th and expect me to be there? In what kind of world do you live in that you think you can tell me to jump and that I'm going to say how high? That will never, ever, ever happen. Never, Mark. Do you understand me? I'm the only authorized agent to put anything on this schedule for this name, Julie K. Embry. You are not authorized. And I also will tell you now, don't ever do it again. By the time I was through with him, we talked for about 45 minutes. By the time that we were wrapping up that call, he had told me we'll put in a motion. I said, Mark, I'm in Oregon. I'm working on the Bundy case, and I don't have time, okay? And I'm not there, and y'all don't have e-file, okay? So anyway, he said, well, you can fax it over. He said, and I'll consider approving it. And I'm like, no. You guys have a great meeting tomorrow. And he said, all right, fine. When would you like this to be scheduled? That people like, it's not me. It's not me. It's knowledge. It is, and it's not arrogance. It is confidence. It's confidence. Maybe it's the mother in me. I don't know. But I've just never understood anybody bossing me around like that. So maybe it just comes natural to me to dig my heels in. But that actually happened. And when I hung up the phone, I was almost scared of myself. Like, who can do that? It almost scared me of myself. But anyway, the more I think about it, the more hysterical it is because at the end of the day, at the end of that conversation, he knew he couldn't tell me what to do. And he did mention, he said, well, that bond, you have to because of the bond. I said, no, sir, that bond was satisfied the day I walked into that court and spoke to you. Furthermore, that bond doesn't have any anything to do with you. It's no business of yours. And it was satisfied. And he didn't even know what to say about that. Why? Because he knows it's true. So,
Julie.
I can't remember why I wanted to tell you guys that, but yes, sir.
This is Ed. You know who I am. And the point being is stand on, huh?
Well, Ed, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. I wasn't expecting you tonight, but please continue, Ed Johnston.
All right. Julie, what I'm saying to you is that you're making your standing that you have filed. Would that be fair to say?
That I'm making, I'm sorry, say that again?
You're making a standing what you have filed. Did you not file with the administrative court?
I filed, what I filed into that case was the DBA paperwork, and I filed for twice for the motion for the bill of particulars and a demand for the bill of particulars, which that judge did tell me that I would not get, and I told him it's your responsibility to see to it that I do. So, yes, I filed administratively.
Correct. That's the point. Make him prove his standing of administrative, lawful, or legal, and put it in the writing to make sure he stands lawful or legal.
Right. Well, that's great. Yeah. And that's basically
but the only one has the power to do that is you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what frustrates me right now, the Bundys have been acquitted. Would that be fair to say?
The Bundys have been found not guilty. Well, their names, yes.
Why are they not filing criminal prosecution on the perpetrators? That's what disturbs me. I've been after them for over a year on this.
Yes. Now, I know that there was a lot of people prior to me coming on the scene that had talked to the Bundys as a whole. I think even Ryan and Ammon individually, or just the two of them together. They never were able to really penetrate that mental block. Although, you know, the first time I spoke to Ryan, the walls came down. But that's primarily because people had already planted seeds prior to me coming on the scene, right? So you guys had talked to them before. Yeah, that was necessary that y'all talked to them before for the timing of this thing, because it's certainly not about me. But yes, Shauna has already started the paperwork. I'm going to stay in the private sector, right, and administrate the comeback on that, if you will. So that's what I'm going to be doing is from the private sector, where I believe that. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I do prefer that people handle things in their own court, which is the private sector, and so that's what I'll be doing. Is we may actually file a case, but we're going to attempt to settle these matters in the private first. Okay.
I'm not arguing with you on that, because if they're willing to make amends, we want them to make amends under the circumstances, including fraud upon the court.
I sent out yesterday. I sent out an email yesterday to I'm not going to say to who, but to somebody who did have the authority to release.
Has knowledge. We'll put it that way. Yes.
And choose to disobey every one of my lawful orders to open the door and release him.
Or suggestions, yes.
Even though he did do many of the things that I told him to do, but he drew a hard line at unlocking the door. But I did go ahead and do a preemptive strike, which I think is proper. That I did send him a notice and told him that this is the day that I've warned you about since the first time I met you, that I would come after you for liability, and the day has come, and I'm just letting you know that you are now liable, and I'm going to give you 4 hours to execute this lawful order, release him within 4 hours, or this is what I'm going to do to you. So anyway, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in an actual bill, a true bill, okay, and there'll be a statement attached to it. There'll be a statement, a true bill, and verification. And if he chooses not to, and I've told him, you know, look, you can handle this way, that way, this way, that way. I don't care, but you do need to handle your business. Okay, we're going to see this thing through because I warned you over and over and over, and now is the time. And so you can deal with this with your public hazard bond if you choose to. I also take checks, cash, money order, credit cards, whatever. But it's time for you to accept liability for your inaction.
Right.
So,
have you ever read Title 17? Are you familiar with Title 17, fraud upon the court?
Title 17 what?
Title 17, fraud upon the court.
Oh, fraud upon the court. No. I'd be happy to read it.
I put this on Shawana's Facebook site, and everybody was like, where have you been? And I'm like, I've been dealing with this for over a year and a half, but nobody wants to listen. All right? Now, they have fraud upon the court that they could each individually file. Now, they want to ship them back to Nevada. That's a fraud.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Now,
okay.
Let me ask you this. You said Ed?
Yeah, this is Ed Johnson, Oregon Trackers, yes.
Do I actually know you by a different name?
No, well, I believe, Julie, you were supposed to be on our talk show about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's...
Okay, you got my point.
I apologize.
Okay, but this is the point that, no, things happen in life. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. That's
okay.
Extremely fair.
I'm not going against you in any manner. Okay? But the point is that I put on Shawana's site dealing with fraud upon the court, and everybody's going, where have you been? I've been there, but nobody wants to listen to the facts. They want to go by what they're interpreted by. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Well, you have my attention now, and I will look at that.
Go ahead, Coach. You were saying something. Speak up.
Yeah. Tell people about your show tomorrow, and let's remember that this is Judge Doucette's call, and I yield.
Oh, no, absolutely. With total respect on that point. But what I'm saying is sometimes we don't look at the evidence in front of us. Does that make sense, Julie?
Yes, it does. And I appreciate you bringing up Title 17, and I will look into that. And if I neglected to listen before, I apologize. It's been very stressful and a lot to manage. But, I do believe that sometimes we just don't hear things, like what I was saying with Ryan, people talking to them before, right, is that
correct.
We got to hear something. We got to hear something a couple of times, but when we actually hear it is when God intends for us to pay attention to it. So anyway,
good point.
I will look into that wholeheartedly, and thank you for bringing it to my attention. I'm trying to get back to Texas, and hopefully I'll be there tomorrow. And when I get home, I do need just a little bit of time with my family, and then I'm going to make myself available, for a couple of weeks to Can
I bring up a point with Texas?
And Ed,
Yes,
Ed, do you have Julie's phone number?
Yes, me and Julie have conversed in the past. Thank you, Bruce. Yes.
Okay.
See,
All right.
like
Well,
I said,
and if you don't,
be a guest on our show.
If you don't, you can always call me, and I can assist you with that. And Ed, if I may make a suggestion to you.
Absolutely, Bruce.
Actually, I don't want to do this on air. I think there's a reason that people aren't listening to you as much. If you would call me sometime, you and I have a conversation, and I'll try to help you with that. And that may make it so that people will hear you more.
Well, and my problem is being.
Go ahead, Julie.
My problem is being, people telling me things, and you guys have to forgive me, but I actually have a horrible memory. Once I read something that pertains to any of this, I retain it. But it's very difficult for me. I even ask Bruce and Roger constantly, please remind me, not to be disrespectful or to, but I have a lot of people throwing stuff at me, and it feels like
Julie, you just have a lot of things going on. Always.
Yeah, but
we all do.
But
the one point that I would like to bring to Julie, you're in Texas, right, Julie?
Ask for the floor, Ed. Thank you.
Texas tomorrow.
Okay. Now you comprehend, if you don't know, that Putin, the Russian government, has a nuclear sub off of the coast. Are you familiar with that? Okay, do your research.
Never called me about that. I'm not.
Okay, well, the reason why is because Texas has been stating they want to usurp from the Union. That's why the Russians are backing them up.
Nice.
Okay, I don't want to. Ed, if I may, I don't want to get off onto other subjects and stuff here, and I want to try to give people a chance to ask questions, and I don't want this to be on here all night tonight, so trying to keep this down to another hour or so.
No
Ed,
problem.
if you can call,
go ahead.
If you can call Julie and have that discussion with her when you have a chance. And now for everybody, I would like to open this up for questions. Now, I know we've gone into a lot about the Bundy case here tonight, and you're welcome to ask questions about that. But I also want to welcome comments and questions that people have about, what is going on and how that affects you getting back into the Matrix, or any of those questions as well. And I want everybody to remember, don't go vote. I'm sorry, but don't. You have to register to vote. That puts you back into the system. We are about
that makes you liable.
The system. We are about getting out of the system, okay? And whoever they pick as the president, we don't really care, because that's not our government. That's not our president that they're electing. So let them elect whoever they want. We don't give a shit. So anyway,
fair statement, because we know the Matrix.
Okay, now Ed, Julie had it first, so go ahead.
I do want to remind people that it's far more important that we pray, because there is clearly one better than the other, and I'm not going to voice any opinions about that, but I will say that we should. That we should be praying, because the corporation who is promoting all this hoo-ha about their president, they are the out of control corporation that we need to rein in. So whereas we do not want to participate in their nonsense, because we don't want to be part of their conspiracy. But we do need to be very prayerful that of who does get in that office. So, to be clear.
Okay, so Toasted, what do people need to do to ask questions. Are they muted? Are they unmuted? And let's go ahead and try to take questions from people. We're at about 7:30 now, so I would like to wrap this up within the hour. Okay? So
all right.
If you've got questions, people, then bring them on. Go ahead, Toasted.
All right, everybody who has questions. This is for questions only, not so much comments right now. I'll have Bruce Doucette ask for comments later. But right now, we're going to enter into questions. Hit star on your keypad, and then make sure you're unmuted, and then proceed with your question. But first, ask for the floor with the "if I may," and he will give it to you. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Toasted. I appreciate that. You may, sir.
May I?
Well, we got a gentleman first and then the lady. So, gentleman first. Go ahead.
Hey, this is Ryan, and different Ryan. Just wanted to talk about 3 different things I had questions about. First thing is, like, from what I've kind of put together is that, like, all the original offices that we used to hold have all been vacated because the people unknowingly filled new spots. And so,
and that is correct.
You guys are
and right, let me answer that, and that goes from the county government on up to the federal government. So county, state, and federal, all of those offices right now that are being filled are not being filled by non-citizen nationals. They're being filled, and they are actually corporate positions, so they are not your government. That they're pretending to be your government, but your government's offices are all vacant. And go ahead with your next question, sir.
Well, to finish it off, I was going to say, why don't we fill up all the positions, including the president, our president? Why haven't we done that?
And that's what we're in the process of doing. But remember, when the de jure government is formed from the county up, not from the president down. So in order for you to be able to do that lawfully in a de jure government, you have to organize your county first and get your county set up. And I'll explain to you how this goes. The people in the county put out a notice, and they can do that for as little as 3 days or as much as 3 weeks, saying that they're going to form an assembly to address the lawlessness in the county and to elect county officials on the land. And then when they come together as an assembly, and we have different resolutions and stuff that assembly can review and decide to vote on if they want to. So we have guidance here to help you guys all do this. But this is what we should all be doing. So this is a great question. So what happens is you set up your county first. The assembly comes together, and right there on the spot, the assembly can elect the sheriff of the county and all of the positions that the people choose to want. They don't need all of these positions that the de facto government has, and frankly, we can't afford all of those positions. So you start with your sheriff and the few positions that you need to have, and you elect those people, and you can do it right then and there. And I'm sorry, people, but you will not get me to agree to any kind of secret voting. I think that if a man is a man and what he is doing is honorable, he should be able to raise his hand and say, I do, and put his name his vote right next to his name on the county register and say, this is how I voted. And when we do this, people, we stop all of the corruption in the voting completely. So that's how it was done in the olden days. We need to go back to that. No more secret ballot kind of crap. That was stuff that they tried to convince us that was good so that nobody would know how nobody voted, and they wanted to do that so that they could control the vote. When honest men come together and they believe in something and they raise their hand and say, this is how I vote on it, and everybody can see that, then you can count that living person, that living man and his vote. So anyway, so you come together with your counties, you get your county straightened out, and when the people come together in the county, then they don't give any of their power away. The federal government would like you to think that the counties gave their power away to the state and the state gave their power away to the federal government. Well, that's bullshit. We are sovereign. We don't give any of our power away. We give assignments to our government employees, tasks. We give them tasks to do. So the county, the assembly will assign tasks to the sheriff and the people that they elect to do, and then the counties, as they come together, will assign tasks for the state to do, and the state will assign tasks for the federal government to do, but we're not giving any power away in there. And I hope that helps answer that part of the question. Your next question, sir.
Okay, my second question has to do with a 5-star passport thing that I had done several weeks ago. I was just wondering, how does that fit in with this? Does that like get me to where I need to be, or do I need to still do the oath as well? The 5-star passport thing is something that we still haven't been able to verify exactly what that does for you. We do now know from the last Exiting the Matrix show that all you need to do is correct your political status. So that means we now know that they committed the fraud on USC Title 8, 1401, where a corporation, so imagine, this is, Walmart starting up and then trying to put forth a statute and code saying now everybody is a Walmart employee. Well, they have no right to do that. And so because the government didn't have a right to do that, and they couldn't claim that, then they had to leave a remedy, or they would have been shot. And the remedy was in USC Title 8, 1481. All you have to do is to say that you're not a U.S. citizen. You're a non-citizen national. You can write on a piece of paper, I'm a non-citizen national, and have 3 witnesses sign that, and then you're done. Now, for anybody that has voted, and if you want to be assured that if you ever end up in court, that judge's little screen doesn't have you as a citizen, then you can also resend all of your voter registrations. And we've got the whole things on how to do that as well. Or you can simply state that in that same little paperwork that you're having everybody else witness and resend it there and then file that with the county. You got to remember, really, we shouldn't have to do anything because they're claiming that we're U.S. citizens, but we never were. We never took the oath, and so everything that they did it was in fraud. But if you want to correct it, if you claim that you're non-citizen national and you file that in with the land clerk, not the court clerk, in with the land clerk, and you get a certified copy of that, then really you should be done. Go ahead.
Bruce, may
I? Hold on.
No,
I got to finish with this gentleman here first. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, my third question is this, and do you remember when Patrick came on and he had done the 5-star passport and he kind of helped walk everybody through it? I was wondering if we could do something similar to that on the A for V method, and like how Tim was talking about it the other day on one of his shows, and he was skipping around a lot. So if he could do it more in like an organized fashion, it'd be helpful for me to have all these tools to fight against them,
I think for people it's best to keep this as simple as possible. Yes, you could do those other things if you wanted to. However, let's keep it simple. Do you need to do any of it? No. The only thing you really need to know and that you need to do is understand this fraud and stand on who you are and that you are not a citizen. You are a non-citizen national. Go ahead, Julie.
Okay. Hi, Ryan. I'm happy to hear you. The eighth. Okay, I want to back up for just a second to the paperwork. I want to, if you'll allow me to put my 2 cents in here, is that the paperwork in and of itself is just notifying the de facto, the corporation, you're in error, and this is right, and rebut that. Okay. Furthermore, that is only supported by your actions. Okay, actions do speak louder than words. I can tell you anything that you want to hear, but if I don't follow through with my actions, the paperwork is no good. Okay, so the thing is, the trick is, can you change your behavior from the debtor to the creditor, from the subject to the sovereign, right? You have all this experience throughout your life up until here recently of acting like the debtor, acting like the subject, and how quickly can you assert yourself in your actions and in your word, your verbal word, that you are the sovereign that you claim to be. You've got to back that up, which means that you now have to behave as if you are a sovereign, which means that that the conversation with the judge that I had the other day, right, that you can see it through, right? Furthermore, one of the very important things to do when you realize that you are not the subject and you are the sovereign, and that you're not the debtor, you are the creditor, right? With regards to the A for V, is that it's simply a matter of your behavior, okay? Because they're on the A for V, you can put things in a specific order. You can put things at a 90-degree banker's acceptance, right? But what's important is that you can skin an animal 100 ways. But if you don't pick up your knife and start skinning that thing, then you're just a cat. You're just an animal, and they're going to skin you. So the A for V is just, and it depends on what situation you're referring to, because everything is an accepted for value. So any presentment from the court, if you don't, you're accepting it for value if you don't rebut it. Okay, because any presentment is coming at you as if you are a subject, if it's coming from a court. If it's coming from the accounting side, as far as finances, they're coming at you as if you're the debtor. Now, can you act like the creditor? And so does it matter if you put it at a 45-degree angle on the top of that page and you write in a specific order, accepted for value, returned for value, charged to the United States Treasury? The thing is that there is no exact way. Nobody's perfected it, right? But to act like the creditor, because I believe that your question was in reference to financial things. How do we get this A for V thing perfected? And I don't believe you're going to be able to do that, because not you specifically, but for us to come up with the template for it, I don't believe that effective. Okay, because every time you send that, you're sending it to someone different. Okay, but you can look at the situation with the car where I stood up and acted like the creditor, right? So is there a specific way that you have to do it? Do you have to discharge your debt in a specific A for V, something that we're going to call A for V? A for V stands for accepted for value, okay? And accepted for value can be done in multiple ways, okay? But accepted for value is with conditions, is what a sovereign does with everything. Okay, well, I can accept that upon proof that it is so. I encourage people to always do a conditional acceptance for value, okay, and that we dispute nothing. We act like the gosh darn creditors that we are. And So if that comes out of you in a letter like it did with me, then that's your accepted for value. I said, I'm ready, willing, and able to pay this. I'll pay the whole $10,747 if you can prove your claim. So that's a conditional A for V right there. But it was in the format of a correspondence, okay? So if you're looking for a template, I'm just going to tell you there isn't one. Now, I know that there are people out there that they have these instructions, and I followed them. I thought, well, let's see what happens with this, and nothing happened with it. Why? Because, and those people are doing these UCC1 filings and this, that, and trying to take control over their strawmen, but they're going through all these procedures and such to do that. And ironically, you'll see UCC filings on your credit report if you pull that up. But I found that it's not even necessary. So I can't imagine that I'm the only one who has just said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this like this, right? Everybody understands a piece of paper that's correspondence, and we can all read, and we can all understand what the writer is trying to infer. And I can only assume, based on the evidence, that I came across as the creditor, and that they clearly understood that I knew what I was talking about. And the thing is that Uncle Sam is supposed to be paying, and I'm here to tell you that he is. He is doing what he's supposed to do. Okay? That's why they're asking you to repay things, because it's already been paid. So you can do these things, Ryan, how it comes out of you. Okay? And what that looks like will be determined by your belief. If you truly believe you're the creditor, you'll discharge your debt. So in that effort, you have to make sure that you don't go back into debtor mode. Was I wrong with your question? More of a financial A for V question?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to, how you took it. Okay. So thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Now, Ed, you can make a comment. Let's keep it short, though. Okay. I'm trying to
keep it short, Bruce. I appreciate the respect. The major point that everybody needs to realize, if you're lawful or legal, if your lawful bloodline are 5 or more generations compared to legal. If you're legal, this is why people are going to jail when they're filing this information. If you're lawful, you cannot be prosecuted under it. This is what disturbs me, what's going on with the Bundys, why they're not filing the criminal charges, as you and I discussed once a year ago. So it comes down to is knowing your standing, lawful and legal, and if you don't know that standing, do the research to prove one way or the other. And I pass the floor.
Actually, it's not your job to prove that, and you can change your status.
Actually, it is, and that comes by federal law and administrative rules. It is.
No.
And we've already proven this by congressional record.
Okay. Federal law cannot make laws for the king. Sorry, you're incorrect.
Federal law has to go by the Constitution of administrative rules of Washington, D.C.
Okay, but still, Ed,
point of order.
Go ahead.
I respectfully ask that people do not step over the host. Thank you.
Okay, so, that is what Ed said there, I'm going to disagree with. Since it's my show, I get to disagree with it. Anybody can change their status from legal to lawful by simply exiting the matrix. You get to choose your political status. There is no government that can have any control over your status. Now, some of the things that Ed was saying was correct, that, if you can prove it, that's great, but it's not your job to have to prove it, and you don't have to. It's their job to prove that you're not. Okay? So leave the burden on them. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop with that.
I agree with you on
question.
that, Bruce. That's 1871 Act of Congress. Yes.
Okay.
May I?
All right. Go ahead, Julie. You can. Julie, you're one of the hosts, so you can chime in whenever you want to. Okay. You don't even have to ask for the floor. If you got a comment, go ahead.
Okay. Here's how I see it, and I may be wrong, but I would put this out there to be considered that it is not possible for man to be legal. It is only possible, in my opinion, for your person to be legal. So
I would agree with that.
Your person cannot be lawful. Your person is stuck in legal because it is an entity that is not a living thing. Now, because the way the world is set up the way it is, we need a person to operate in commerce because all of commerce is persons. So for us to deal with a person, we need a person. So I use my person administratively, and therefore it is legal, okay, but I'm not. And in my opinion, no breathing man can be legal. We can only be lawful. So,
and you said that very well. You can go ahead, Ed. Just keep it short.
All right, I'm going to keep it short with due respect to Julie because I know both of you two. The point is, lawfully, your bloodline has a status, and that goes back to 1871 when they put their administrative rules constitutionally in place of the de facto. De facto was placed in 1871 so that way they protect legal and lawful citizens. Now, citizen under the 14th Amendment is a British citizen, not an American. There is a lawful and legal definition.
That's part of the problem, Ed, is that you are, you're going with the 14th Amendment and the 17th and the 24th.
Right, because the 14th Amendment and the 13th Amendment gave us rights, not privileges.
Hold on. You didn't let me finish, okay?
I apologize.
That is not our Constitution, Ed. That is a corporate pretending that it's a constitution, and it's not even a corporate constitution. It's a corporate charter. So all of that is in fraud. And if you want to pay attention to that, fine. But if you want to pay attention to that, fine. I'm not going to steer people in that direction. Okay. So with that, I want to drop that for now. Okay, I'm trying to point out the difference of people. People can make up their own mind up. We've said enough. Okay, so now if somebody else has another question, then please chime in. Ask
may I?
Yes, you may, dear, and thank you for waiting so patiently.
When Julie was talking about Title 17, fraud upon the court, where do you find the Title 17? And that's
when I'm looking for something, I just type it right into Google, and then usually the Cornell Law comes up first, and I found that one just because it's become very familiar to me, the layout and everything, so I tend to gravitate towards that one. But you can just simply put Title 17 on there.
Okay, because I didn't know if it was U.S. Code or Commercial Code or
it's U.S.
It would be Title 17 would be a USC.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. And I also have a comment, but I will save that for later. Thank you. I yield.
No, go ahead.
If you know my Facebook site, I'll send it to you.
Go ahead with your comment, Geraldine.
When you were talking about slipping back into the matrix, I got this thing the other day. It was National Household Travel Survey, and they wanted you to fill out all this stuff. And then a week later, I got a postcard that says, "Hey, we sent you that form a week ago. You need to fill it out and get it in." And I looked at it, and it says, collects information about your travel to understand how well the roads, highways, so we can plan for the future. Fill this out. And I looked at it, and it says, your travel experiences. But then They want you to agree or disagree with the whole prices of gas and whether you walk, technology you use, all of this contact
ignore
information.
all of that crap.
I know that, but I thought, how easy if people weren't on top of it and awake that they would just fill that out and send it back and just get sucked in all the more.
Well, and if you think that's something, Geraldine, I think you're going to see the government come and offer stipends to people. They're going to offer you free a couple $1,000s a month or $4,000 a month every month for the rest of your life. And
there was $1 in this envelope.
People are just going to start jumping at that, and they're not going to realize that they're selling the soul to the devil for that money. And that is what this show is really about, is to watch out for those things and make people aware of that. You're trying to get out of the system, people. If you're willing to sell your soul, they'll put you right back in that system, and they will sell your soul to Satan. Don't do it. And with that, I yield.
Well, I'm sorry. I was excited that I am waking up enough to recognize it and see it. And I thought,
and you know what Heavenly Father tells us?
The residents.
Those who have eyes to
Babylon.
see and ears to hear.
And it was addressed to resident. And I thought, well, I'm not a resident.
There you go.
So there was 2 or 3 things that where the red flag went up that probably a year ago I wouldn't have had a clue. So I just want to say I thank you for all these calls and appreciate it. And I just saw that as another thing to get you, how easily you could get back sucked in if you're not really on top of it and aware.
And that's what we want everybody watching out for and making everybody else aware, because I don't read that crap. So, I wouldn't see that. And so that's why, this call is here. If somebody sees something like that, then bring it to everybody's attention. And thank you for that, dear.
Well,
and will you finish with that?
Yep. Yes, I'm healed.
Okay. And somebody else have a question, please. You may, ma'am.
Hey, Bruce. Hi, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good, ma'am.
Okay. Julie, I have a question for you. This is Pam in Florida. Could you tell me the name of your website, ma'am?
Oh, gosh. Well, I apologize. The website, I have intentions. And I'm going to put I'm going to put some pages on there where you can click on documents and you can see things. I have not done that. I actually just...
It's in her intentions right now.
Yes.
In her mind.
Yeah, I need somebody to remind me. So currently, it was for my salon, and when I put my scissors down to assist Brian, I just took all of the cosmetology stuff down, and right now it currently is only a PayPal button, so I apologize. There's really only good intentions that are not fulfilled yet, so I apologize. So there's nothing there right now. I'm embarrassed to tell you that, but I do intend to put my documents up there to simplify things, as well as recordings and stuff. Put some links on there for you guys. So I apologize, but right now it is just a really cool picture and a button that says for such a time as this. So I apologize, but it's juliembry.com, which is by the way my doing business as name.
All right, I yield. Thank you.
But if somebody wants to volunteer, somebody wants to step up and say, hey.
Would you take the floor and ask for more questions and stuff? I'm getting coffee, so thank you.
Oh, okay. Yes. So does anybody else have any questions then? Nobody wants to ask questions now that Bruce is getting coffee.
Going once.
If I knew how to ask.
Maybe we want to know what kind of creamer he's using.
Milk, not creamer.
Oh, you don't love yourself enough to use creamer.
No,
I have a question. You guys can hear me?
I use real honey and I use real milk. And yes, sir, you may go ahead and go.
330, you're
Okay.
clear to go.
Yes, thank you. I was kind of curious. I've commented on Judge's page there a couple times. I'm interested to see if you that have stepped out of I have been, as well as a lot of people, have been waiting for top-level administration as well as judges, magistrates, police to wake up and step into the light like you guys have done. My question is have you gotten in your career any ridicule or persecution towards you by doing so? And I can take my question on mute if you'd like.
No, that's fine. No. We take this for everybody, and I hope you understand that. I have 2 PhDs, one in law, but I'm not a bar attorney and never have been. Okay, so I am a common law judge, a superior court judge for the people. So I was not previously a judge for the de facto or a bar attorney for the de facto government. Now, that would be the first thing that I would want to make sure that that is clear with your question. And as to the second, yes, I have taken all kinds of persecution. I was the common law judge that went down to Oregon. I was in the compound with Ryan and Ammon and all of them, and I have fortunately had an amazing life. I've never been in trouble with the law or IRS or foreclosures or any of that. So they couldn't find the Oregonian, couldn't find anything to attack me on, so they try to say that I'm a fake judge and that I was self-appointed. Well, both of those things are incorrect. And long before I went to Oregon, one of the first things that I did when I became a Superior Court judge was to go into Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse, which is the largest courthouse in Colorado, and remove a de facto judge. And they tried to arrest me then for impersonating a federal judge, and that only lasted about 20 minutes. And then they came, they actually, handcuffed me, threw me in a cell. I told them that they had better check my credentials because they were sitting right there on the table. And this sheriff came down and was like, "Oh, Judge Doucette, we're so sorry. We weren't arresting you. We were just detaining you while we checked your credentials." And it was obvious that this sheriff had taken those credentials to one of the de facto judges, and he had said, "Oh shit, yeah, this guy is the real thing." And guess what? All those laws that protect us from the citizens actually suing us, they don't work with him. He's not a citizen. He can sue you and take everything that you own, your pension, your job, the works. So there's been a lot of prosecution in a lot of different ways along the way. And, you just have to know that we are in end times, and all truths will be known. And I look at it this way. I don't care how much somebody attacks me. In the end, the truth will be known. I will be vindicated. So I don't even worry about fighting with them. Did that answer your question,
I agree
sir?
with you, sir.
If I may.
Go ahead, Julie.
Yes.
The weak always attack the thing that they don't understand. So, the people who are asleep don't understand the people who are awake, right? Just like I don't want to worry about being politically correct, but I'm forced to because people overreact. But just like I'm a white woman, and I cannot I can't totally relate to a black woman, right, or a Hispanic woman. I because we're so different, right? And the sleeping don't really know what to do with the awake, right? Just like a dream doesn't understand reality, and reality doesn't understand a dream, right? Just like oil and water and truth and lies. So the things that we don't understand, we attack them. And sometimes we can use that as a good thing, because that's one of the things that started me in the first place, was somebody telling me these ridiculous things about not being a taxpayer, not needing to put tags on his vehicle, this, that, and the other. And I thought, I'm going to attack that idea and dismantle that. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to prove to this person. I'm going to get them back in line, right? And although I didn't attack him, but I attacked the way of thinking, and that's when I woke up in the middle of the night, was during that process. And so if by somebody trying to take apart my thinking, if they are able to engage their common sense in the process, well done, right? I had somebody tell me the other day.
Joining conference now. This conference is being recorded by the organizer.
I don't know. Did y'all just hear that?
I think
that was interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I thought, oh no, have I been talking to dead air? So I hate repeating myself. Okay, but somebody told me the other day. I said, well, this is kind of why I've tried to stay in the background of this whole Bundy case. Like, on these calls, I have talked to you guys about it, because in some way I do think of you guys as kind of my awake family that has embraced me, and I so appreciate it. I've kind of found y'all to be kind of my people now, But so I have spoken freely with you guys. I have put very, very, very few comments out there on my Facebook page as far as
Julie, you're kind of drifting on me here, dear. Are you still trying to answer this gentleman's question, or are you
am.
Okay, let's get to it.
Okay. Well, so I've not really tried to put myself out there very much, and that's why at the verdict, why I went around the corner, and you're not going to see me, but in very few videos, I avoided them. But when I mentioned to this person, I've tried to say, kind of in the background of this thing, that she laughed and said, "Are you kidding? Have you Googled your name lately?" And I was like, what are you saying? She's like, there's all kinds of things out there that they're saying about you. And so we hung up, and so I Googled my name, and I was thinking, well, that's not much, And then the thought came to me to type Ryan Bundy and Julie Embry. And I was like, holy cow. And I started clicking on stuff. I was like, these people are tearing me up. Like, they are, where are my people that are awake? Why aren't they, So it was a very surreal moment for me. And so, yes, there are repercussions to standing up, and even if you do try to stay in the background and under the radar to some extent, if yes, you're going to be attacked in some form or fashion, but really, shouldn't we take it as a compliment? Shouldn't we take it as an opportunity that, hey, somebody's listening, somebody's reading my paperwork, and just be glad that they're reading, even though they call it nonsense. But
and if I may, Julie, let me add something for this gentleman. We're going to get attacked, and but at the end of the day, and it's already starting to come to that time frame when all of these people all of these de facto judges that they thought were judges and they thought had all of this power, now people are finding out they're not even real judges. They're only magistrates, and they have no power. zero power over the living man.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you believe in what you're doing and what you're doing is honorable, and you ask every day, Heavenly Father, to be doing His will and not your will, I will tell you it's 100% worth every bit of it, every single attack. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, I just want to, if it's causing any reservations in you to stand up and to activate and get in disarray, I would encourage you that, you know what, they haven't hurt me, and
Hello?
No.
Sounds like we lost her.
Toasted.
Buddy.
What happened there? There you are.
Sir,
we'll just
did
talk
we
over her?
I know, I'm trying to.
I welcome you to come be attacked with us, so don't let that deter you, please.
And did we answer your question, sir, or did you have some additional ones?
You disappeared.
Well, I mean, you did. No, I'm still here. I asked that because I am a metaphysician and a spiritualist, as well as a motivational speaker, and I speak to a lot of people in regards to your actions speak from your heart. And with what you guys are doing, as well as I stand on the back burner, like Julie said she does. She says she goes to rallies and she does her own thing in the back corner. She's not really wanting to stand out in that crowd. She's just wanting to be there and speak from her heart, right? Being part of that and watching the tyranny at the very tip-top level of the pyramid collapse in front of humanity's face. Because all eyes right now are on Washington, okay? All eyes. And we are being prayed for. We are being guided. And everyone's truth becomes a manifestation within their belief, okay? And I wholeheartedly believe that. And what you guys are doing, to me, is amazing, amazing thing. Jeremy Dieter is an amazing friend of mine, and he's being ridiculed from speaking from his heart as well. So yeah, I mean, I kind of had to ask you guys that question.
Sir, what is your name?
They call me the Mystic.
What is your name, sir? They call you what?
Matt. The
they
Mystic.
Call you Matt.
Yes. My name is Matt. They call me the Mystic.
The Mystic. Okay. Just listening to you speak, I'm moved by it. I don't know if there's every once in a while, you know, the sweet guy that was asking questions a while ago, his name was Ryan, and I don't know why, I just felt this. I was just drawn to him, and since then, I don't think I've been on one of these calls for a month or more, or maybe right at a month. But I've just had this wonderful relationship back and forth with Ryan, and it's been really neat. But that's very rare. And
I don't know, Julie. You get moved. Matt. You get moved all the time when you're on my calls.
Well, you know, Matt, listening to you speak, I want to encourage you because there's something there that I feel. I don't even really.
I know this, though, Julie.
Okay, good. So I can say no more, but there is something about you. I like to pay attention to those things, and I believe that we recognize things because we are, and I know I've told you guys this before, I love to quote Ryan and give him credit for this, because we are spirits having a human experience and not humans having a spiritual experience. And I think that our spirits recognize something, even though this is over the phone. I don't know what to say, but there's something about listening to just that little bit that you were saying, and I would imagine that you do have the ability to move people with your speaking, and I think you probably are going to be a very force to be reckoned with. So I would encourage you not to consider any repercussions. People will listen to you. They will. I have that feeling. There's something in my spirit that I feel.
And not only that,
I'll just leave it at that.
We need more good people to come forward, and especially more people that are led by the true spirit. So
yeah. I would like to speak to you. My numbers on all of these calls is 817-891-5438. But Matt, I don't know. I would like to speak to you. So.
I think I've been muted. Maybe, I don't know.
Nope. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Well, again, like I told you, I'm a metaphysicist. I talk from my heart. I'm a spiritualist. And when it comes to people doing what you're doing, I've been doing this for the last 10 years, and I see you and hear you, and all of those people that are also listening to you. I see that in my now moment as a manifestation of something that I have been longing for. Okay? And I say that out of my heart. I mean that. Because I've been watching my countrymen and women and around the world go down the tubes. And it takes reaching out to one another, holding one another up, and saying what's right, and believing what is right. And what you guys are speaking is truth. Truth all it takes is a spark. A spark will turn into a mass blaze. But if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to keep getting what they've got. And it's time that they realize that. And it's your guys' motivation that is bringing them to light.
Well, and that motivation has taken us from having 2 states up and running with grand juries and common law courts in the process of bringing those states back to a lawful status to now 32 in just a couple of years' time. And all of that with no leader. We have no leader. We have no group. It's just people coming together out of truth and honor to help one another.
That is awesome.
And
awesome.
And I'll yield with that. Any other questions that you had, sir?
If I may, real quick.
I appreciate your guys' time.
Okay, thank you. Was that
Matt.
toasted?
Yeah, it's toasted. I got to do something with the call real quick.
You've been doing something to the call. Did you fall asleep on the board?
To unmute yourself, press the star key twice.
I think.
Okay, Julie, did you get unmuted?
We're good.
Did you get unmuted, Julie? I can. Yeah, so you're fine.
Mute off.
I think Toasted is.
Yeah, I know. Toasted just keeps us on our toes. Okay, people. Anyone else with a question or comment, please?
Toasted got you.
You may. Go ahead.
Paul in Kansas. I understand there's a whole lot of unclaimed funds in the CAFR accounts, CAFR accounts, Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports. And if that is true, how do we access those accounts?
As you take your counties back, then the CAFR accounts and the CRIS accounts. If you think the CAFR accounts are big, wait till you see the CAFR accounts, the CRIS accounts, because they're 10 times bigger than the CAFR accounts. And the CRIS accounts are actually the funds that these courts are making and what they're stepping away from that. But, as part of bringing your county back to a lawful status, then one of the things that we suggest that the assemblies vote on is, one, you elect a lawful sheriff, and you make that lawful sheriff's first responsibility is to recover those funds. And you're going to have to go after the head judge in the county probably, as well as the treasurer for the de facto government, as well as the provost marshal and the vicar general for the state, because those are the ones that are in control of those funds right now. And go ahead, Julie.
May I ask you to repeat the question again?
Oh, you didn't hear it. Okay.
No, I did. I wanted to hear the question again. Kind of like, can I reread that paragraph? Could you re-ask your question?
Yes, I understand that there's a lot of unclaimed funds in the CAFR accounts, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, and I wanted to know how to access those funds. And Bruce says we have to organize our county. One of the problems I'm having in Kiowa, Kansas is I am by myself. I cannot even get a guy that I have known longer than anyone else around here, almost 20 years, to cross the street, to cross Main Street to go to a hearing that I have. And it's just me, and I can't organize a grand jury and get all this together. It's just me, Bruce.
Well,
my plan is to bankrupt these people, and then we can get a new government.
Well, you won't get access to those funds unless you get an assembly put together, and unless you get an assembly put together and you elect a lawful sheriff on the land and then go after these people. But I will tell you, sir, people are waking up. It takes talking to more and more people, get them to listen to these shows, get them to listen to the judge's call, the marshal's call, and stuff like that. It will happen. You just got to keep after it. When I first started this, as far as I knew, we had Colorado and Florida, and that was it. And it seemed like, oh, man, we got 50 states to do. That will take us forever. But you know how you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Go ahead, Julie.
If I may, real quick.
Hold on, Toasted.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Julie.
I just have this huge smile on my face. The whole time I could not wipe it off. That's incredible, and I wish I could say I'm speechless by what you just said, but I'm so excited. Did y'all miss that where he said I want to bankrupt them? And,
I know.
To the moon and back, right? So what we have here is a guy who is ready to jump on a white steed, right? And I want to tell you that I know what it feels like to look around and think I am utterly alone. And on one hand, it's a devastating feeling if you stay in that mode. But I would encourage you to let it just be the driving force behind you. You have a goal that is achievable and a drive. Just the way you said that, I want to bankrupt them. The emphasis on that statement was not missed by me. But the thing is that when you're utterly alone, it's so much easier to fight in some ways, right? because you know that it's you or nothing. And you're going to push those chips in, right? People are going to see you go all out. You're going all in, right? They will come to you. They will. I promise you, sir, they will come to you. There is a time that we have to fight alone. We have to stand alone. David had to walk out there towards Goliath alone. And you can do that. You can do that. He only took 5 stones, and he only threw 1. And you have the power and the authority to do that. And I admire you for your gumption. I admire you for your goal. Is I would stand up and applaud you right now, but it seems like you're alone. But you're going to have an audience. You will, and people will come to you, and you will draw people to you. You just get in there and just do what you can, and that's what that means when I, the tattoo on my hand. It's from the Book of Esther, for such a time as this. It's your time. It's your time. So get out there and draw your sword. Right?
Wow, that was amazing encouragement, Julie. I have to credit you for, and I was trying to give him encouragement and stuff like that, but you did it in a much more effective way than I did, and thank you. And sir, are you hearing us?
Yes, I heard every word. Thank you very much. I've got my 3rd case. I've had 2 cases dismissed, and my 3rd case is for a jury trial. I requested a trial by a jury. I can't get it through the judge's head that I want a trial by a jury and not a jury trial, but that is scheduled for next Thursday.
Oh.
You keep going like that, and they're going to pay attention.
What do you call it?
Well, I hope so. I made the judge trustee and the prosecutor trustee and the county attorney trustee. And we'll see what happens. I've given them specific instructions. Excuse me?
What state are you on?
What was the question? What city?
What state?
Kiowa, Kansas. Kiowa, Kansas. Barber County, Kansas.
Okay, so
1 mile over the Oklahoma border.
Okay, so anybody who's listening, obviously we have people who are awake on this call, or they would not be on this call. So I would encourage you to tell us what your doing business as name is, and when your case is, and get people to come, that are awake, but to stand by.
And if you're
and as witness,
if you're not afraid, put a phone number out there.
Yeah.
Okay. My phone number is 620-409-0335. I do not have a doing business as name. My name is Paul H. Tilley, Tilley. I am the executor of the estate of the all caps name Paul Howard Tilley. That is clearly in my court documents already. I have about $40 million in claims entered into the case that are unrebutted affidavits, claims. And
are you the Paul
CAFR account.
Are you the Paul?
Yes.
Are you the
Yes,
Paul that I have? Oh, okay.
Yes, I am. You didn't know that?
Wonderful. Yeah. No, well, you didn't tell us who you were. I didn't know.
I said Paul.
Communicating with you. I apologize.
I
apologize when you said Tilly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know you're not alone. Exactly. All right.
No, I am alone here.
No, you may be alone right now, but other people will hear this call in the future. Your number is out there now so that they can contact you, sir. And that's how it starts. Yeah. I had to put my number out all over the place when I first started, and hell, it's still out all over the place. But, I did it the same way. So I would encourage anyone that is having problems, getting other people involved, start putting your phone number out on these calls, and sooner or later somebody's going to pick up the phone and call you, and that's how it starts.
And Paul, listen, I want to tell you.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something. I'm from Texas. Well, I'm not. Wasn't birthed in Texas, but I'm Texan. I grew up. I could ride my bike to the Texas border, so I always dreamed of Texas, and then I got there as fast as I could. But here's the thing: is the song "All That Glitters Is Not Gold." I think it's Dan Seals. And here's the thing: silver as well. And I'm going to tell you something. When you draw your sword and start fighting, people see the glint of the sun on that, right? And that's what they've taught us and trained us, is to turn our head to all these shiny things to distract us, right? So you get out there and swing that sword, and it's going to draw. It'll draw the attention. It will. And you can show people. And, I really do need to fix that website. And your paperwork is something that, I should put on there. You have sent me a text, right, that showed a case dismissed, right?
Yes, and I've sent you pretty much all of the paperwork that I have filed in those two cases.
One of these days, Julie will get that website out of her imagination and onto the web.
And into reality.
Right. I'm not worried about the trial. I'm not worried about the trial at all. I have 32 witnesses, at least 32 on the witness list. I really don't think there's going to be a trial, because all it is, it's a right to travel case. They impounded my vehicle unlawfully, according to the Kansas Supreme Court, Kansas v. Teacher, 1991, and that's clear in the Kansas. Court.
I don't want to get into a whole bunch of cases and stuff here right now, sir. And so I appreciate you wanting to share that with everybody, but let's try to get them to call you and find out what everything is about. I'm trying to keep this call on focus and trying to get it over sooner than later. So if we start going into that, we'll be here all night. But I do appreciate that, Paul.
Bruce, that was the only case that I needed for this.
Okay.
and Paul,
I just had one case. Yeah.
Right. Hey, and Paul, I'm with everything that's been going on. I've glanced at things, and of course I recognize the last name. But you may need to resend it to me. If you send it on text, it might be better to send it to me on an email. And I want to look at them a little bit more in detail, and then maybe I could put those on when I get my imaginary website into reality and put them up there for people, So thank you for reminding me of that, and remind me, if you will, since we are texting with each other, however infrequently, remind me to go back to those documents. I'm very interested. I have a little bit more time now. So anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. And for everything you're doing, too.
And, Paul, I hope we gave you the encouragement that you need. Just keep marching forward. And hopefully other people will hear this call and dial you up and get involved, because we need all states up and running. Okay, I'm trying to move this. Did you have another question, sir? Or?
No, I was just going to tell you I'm not worried about this case at all. These guys, it's a simple right to travel case, no tag and no insurance, and
you'll be fine with
City of Kiowa, the appeal. City of Kiowa cannot take the witness stand and testify how they've been injured, so they have no case. Yep. There's no problem. All right, I yield.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else with questions or comments? You may, ma'am.
Yes, may I?
You may.
Julie, could I possibly get your website again?
Okay, but
that imaginary one?
I apologize, your email.
I'm so sorry.
I have a document I need to send you.
Okay, well then you need email, not website. You can.
Yes, I said email. I corrected that.
Okay. Oh goodness. Well, can you text me? Because what I don't want is because I do switch up emails, and I really don't want to put an email on here because if somebody listens to this a year later and I've abandoned that email to move on.
Could you give me could you give me a phone number?
Yeah. Yes, you can text me at 817-891-5438.
817-891-5438, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Paul, I will be calling you. This is Pam in Florida. I know about finances, and I am going to teach you about what they aren't telling you.
Oh, wonderful. You know, I really appreciate it when people call me or contact me to give me something rather than just wanting something. Although I don't mind people calling and wanting some one-on-one time, that's fine too. But it's always refreshing, you know, to have somebody just to donate information is so appreciated. But I will remind everybody it works best to reach me if you text me and tell me who's going to be calling. And that way I will answer it. I will make sure and answer it. But because so many people do have my number from these recordings, I don't always answer calls because if I'm busy. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying. So if you'll text me and then I'll know who is calling and what we're going to be talking about. So yes,
and thank wonderful. Thank you, ma'am, for stepping up and helping Paul as well. And so, Paul, you know, the cavalry is already on its way. You know, it starts one person at a time.
Well,
thank you very much.
Paul, I
don't thank
Paul,
me yet.
Well, I do actually think that Paul could be the cavalry. Okay, so we hopefully we'll be sending Paul out there to other people. So
and that's how it works.
He is having success, and you know, you can take something as simple as a traveling issue and turn that into a contempt of court issue, or you know, whatever. You know, it's whatever level you're at and you're having success, you know, get it out there and you be the cavalry. Instead of waiting for the cavalry, you be the cavalry, right?
Very good. Okay, do we have anyone else with questions or comments?
I got a comment.
Toasted, you can have a comment. We'll let you. As long as you don't fall asleep and play with the board anymore.
Falling asleep has been an issue in the past.
Hey, don't take that from Bruce. You're in charge, sir. Clearly, you're in charge.
Well, it goes against my own rules to sleep on the clock. But yes, I'm standing on the land over here in Arizona. If anybody is considering joining the judges, marshals, and grand jury administration, I would be happy to direct you in the right direction.
And not only is Toasted recording these calls for us, but it's actually Marshall Toasted.
Yes, I keep forgetting it. Yes, I keep forgetting that. But
it is
I would
Continental Marshall Toasted.
Continental Marshall Toasted, yes, that is correct. And I would be happy to witness oaths of any type. And I would be happy to get Judge Doucette and anybody else that wants to be on that call to witness that oath on, and we'll proceed to move forward at that point. But I'm just putting that out there. If you know anybody in Arizona that wants to go ahead and get this ball rolling over here, I'm open and I yield.
Thank you, Toasted.
Okay, I want to say something real quick.
No, you can't.
Okay. I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret. Earlier, somebody was talking about. It was Ryan, and I had muted, and I had to go to the bathroom, so I muted, and so I was dying to say something, but I couldn't, and so because I'm sitting here sipping on a drink and enjoying this call so much. So anyway, I do want to say that with regards to one of the first things that Ryan earlier was saying, I just want to get this on the record real quick. One of the ways to declare your sovereign is to take a new one. So with regards to these oaths, the way to get rid of, even if it is a presumed sovereign, the way to get rid of a sovereign is to take a new one. And that's what the oath is for, right? So it is declaring your sovereign. So when you do that, you, not accidentally, you purposefully get rid of your old one, even if it was just presumed and forced upon you by presumption. So, and I want to go ahead and say that on this call next week, I will arrange for some witnesses. I guess I need to have the witnesses there with me at the time. I will take my oath on this call if you want.
We would love that, Julie. It would be fun to swear you in and to do it live on the air. So you get 3 witnesses there next week. And for all of you that are not aware of, everything that goes on, we'll take this step by step so that all of you can see and hear the oath. When you take this oath, you're not swearing an oath to a government or to an organization or to anyone but the people. You're swearing an oath to protect the people. That would be cool, Julie.
I want to for me, the oath is for me is to God to protect His people. So I'm not violating anything by making an oath to my sovereign with regards to His people. And so I will say that the only hesitation that I have had was it feels very monumental to me to do that. And I was trying to, in my life, the people around me, I don't have people who understand this. I don't have people who are awake. And I wanted to do it while I was in Oregon because I was working, in the same room with people who were on the same calling as me, although they were operating in different realms of the Bundy case. But they understood me and worked side by side with me while I worked on my angle and they worked on theirs. Shauna Cox, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. My sister who has housed and allowed people to rotate in and out of her home. Unfortunately, it was such a paper frenzy that I didn't have the opportunity that I wanted to do that oath with those particular people. So that was one of the things was I kind of wanted to be selfish about who those people were that witnessed it and make sure that they were people who understood what I was doing. And I now see, especially because Bruce, you're so wonderful, when I was saying stop talking about it and do it, and that's when I recalled, oh my God, I've been carrying around this oath and those stamps, and I still haven't done it yet myself. So, I would ask anybody.
Take your own advice.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you spoke up and said, I was like, oh my God. But in my heart, I've done it, in my heart. But so if I may, I would welcome anybody. It's not my call, but if there's anybody out there who's been putting it off for one excuse or another, like my excuse, it seems legitimate, but really it's not. So let's do this thing together, and I'm going to take my oath next week with Bruce's permission on this call.
That's how we will start the call next week. It's with you taking your oath.
If there's anybody out there that has hesitated for whatever reason, if it seemed important to you at the time, get it in perspective with me. I'm putting mine in perspective, and let's do this thing. Marshals or judge or what? Let's just do it. Almost like a baptism thing, right? Let's just get baptized together in just being awake. And it is a rebirth in so many ways. It is so symbolic, and
And anyone, I will add to that, Julie. Anyone else that wants to do their oaths, if instead of just making 4 original copies of your oath, make 5. And if you take your oath on the air, so I can listen to it as well, then you can send your original copy that you will keep for your record to me, and I will sign it as well.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do it together. Let's just jump in there.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Julie. That's fun. We'll have a lot of fun with that next week. Do we have any other questions or comments from people?
If I may?
You may.
It's Paul in Kansas again. I've made the judge/corporate administrator trustee of the estate and told him to pay all of my affidavits/claims. If he does not, then how do I turn those unrebutted affidavits into negotiable instruments?
I think the lady that's going to call you from Florida will help you with that. That's not something that we really cover on this call, Paul. That's really something more that you should be on the judge's call for on Wednesday nights, because that's where they cover that kind of stuff. Okay?
All right. I think I asked that question once before. Nobody could. Nobody could answer.
And you have that.
If I may, real quick.
You have that number for the judge's call on Wednesday night?
Yes, sir, I do.
I would actually like to give that out.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Toasted. Give it out.
For those of you who do not know the Wednesday night call, you can tune in to the Wednesday night call at, I believe it's 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
No, it's it starts at 6 o'clock for We the People in Colorado, and that is the first hour. So it would be 7 o'clock Mountain Time. You're correct with that. I'm sorry, sir. I had to think that through. So the nationwide judges, marshals, and grand jury administrator call, it goes right from the Denver call right into that call, and that starts at 7 o'clock. And go ahead and give the number.
All right, the phone number, I hope you all have pen and paper available. And for those of you who do, and for those of you in the future, I'm going to give you a second. Okay, 1. All right. It's going to be 712-775-7035. Once again, that phone number is 712-775-7035. And you're looking at an access code of 782-102. Once again, that access code is 782-102. And definitely, please join us on Wednesday.
And don't forget the pound with that. With that access code, it's 782-102-pound.
But definitely, please join us on Wednesday for a very enlightening conversation, as every Wednesday is a very enlightening conversation. At least I find it very interesting. And with that, I'm going to yield it back to Judge Doucette.
Thank you, Toasted.
Can I?
You may.
I want to say I appreciate you, Toasted, very much. It sounds like you do quite a bit of calls, and
Toasted covers all of our calls. He does this one on Sunday. While we're doing this one, there's also the Veterans call going on that they also we do that one simultaneously. He does the Marshals call on Tuesday night. He does the Judges call and the Denver call on Wednesday night, and he does the Black Fly Brigade call on Friday nights. Plus, he has a host of other calls that he does. And people, if you would all remember, it takes a lot of bandwidth to record all of these calls and stuff. So if you please would go to Revolution News and Information, hit the donate button, and even if you can only donate $1 or $5, it's really important for them. And they do such a wonderful service to make these calls available on YouTube and live on Facebook so that people can come and listen to them when they have the time. So please donate.
Yeah. Toasted,
if I may, one more time as well.
Let Julie finish and then go ahead and go, Toasted. So let Julie finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Compliment
go
you.
ahead.
I was not aware, and thank you, Bruce, for pointing out how much he does. I was not aware. I knew that you did a lot, or do a lot, and so I applaud you, and you're so gracious, and I thank you. So I have tried to do calls without a moderator, and that's very difficult. And so anyway, I thank you very much. That's
not
that's
a problem.
All. I just thank you.
And not a problem. Actually, Saturday is the only day I actually take to myself, and just take it easy on that day. Sometimes I can do up to 3-4 calls a day, but usually it's just one. And with that, you can donate.
You're appreciated.
Thank you. With that, you can donate at revnews.us, REVNEWS.us. Click on forms, and you should see a donation button. We did meet our donation goal this month, but we're entering into a new month. And our donation goal for every month for right now is $200 a month. And that's all it takes is for us to give this information to you and keep the ads off the channel. And with that, I'm going to yield.
Wow, I want to say that, and I know I've said it before, that if you're not going, send, and if you're not, everything, it is the law of nature and the law of God that we meet with equal substance. So if you're listening to these calls, it's so important that you give back. And just contributing verbally, informationally, and, there's people on these calls that we've not heard from, haven't spoke up, and I'm glad that there are listeners that are taking, and I just encourage you to give back as well, and to practice giving equal substance. So if you're not doing calls, or even if you are, but if you're not doing calls, contribute to keeping those calls, coming. Before I even got involved with doing calls, which was before Bruce, but I really didn't understand the importance of them. But I see such a great value in them, and so whoever you are that's listening, you guys, I would encourage you so much, and I would tell you thank you in advance for donating on Toasted. That is a huge amount of giving of his time, and I would encourage you to show your appreciation by offering some equal substance. So that's my pitch. I appreciate you, Toasted, and I encourage you guys. I know y'all are out there. I know you're listening. Even if this is a year later and you're listening, find a way to put your money where our mouth is. Can I say it like that? So it's appreciated. And
yes, you can say it like that.
Okay. Anyway, I didn't want that to be misconstrued, but I think it is necessary for us to show our appreciation, not only in being grateful and saying thank you, but if you're able to help financially, that's a very good thing.
Anyway, do we have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, may I?
You may. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I've been just one of the listeners and followers of Revolution News and Information, and the whole thing with the marshals and the judges and stuff of that nature, and all the information that they provide and everything. I don't just take what I hear and just run with it. I mean, I got my mind and just information that comes, and it's just so much. I'm here and I'm there and I'm here and I'm there. I'm just all over the place, and that can be like mind-boggling. I mean, especially to me, somebody who's not of an expert level when it comes to this stuff. But what I've actually thought of, just like, couldn't it be just a whole lot less stressful if you just take a form of an affidavit and just, list all these things that are of concern, like the fraud and, and just all the corrupt things that we are all learning now. I mean, the things that I've learned just from you guys, the things that I researched on my own, like all the things that of a great concern about the corruption and just all the fraud that's going on. And we can just list all this into one affidavit of complaint, to whoever it should go to, because I don't see, personally, I really don't see a reason why you have to go file anything and give it. I mean, it's just one thing to make notice, but to have to file something that, that term is just kind of disturbing when it's some considering fraud, and but I was just thinking outside the box. Of I could ask that question if anybody could shed some light on that for me.
I hear what you're saying, and I actually you and I may actually think very much alike from what I just heard. I'm more of a I'm going to tell you once person, right? And then I'm just going to enforce it. But it occurred to me that, and Bruce has said it repeatedly, I think that one of the things that we really, really, really need to be focusing on is our sheriff. And what if everybody was to schedule an hour with their local sheriff and start educating him or her, and let's get these sheriffs woke up. What if rather than going through all these hoops and everything, and we just start focusing on breaking down these presumptions and correcting them with our sheriff. And that's what Bruce was saying is, if you want to make change, we have to do it at what we see as the bottom, which is actually the top, because everything is upside down. And I believe that everybody who has spoke up on this call is very capable of articulating their knowledge to their sheriff. And it occurred to me, I've never even called my sheriff and asked him or her for a meeting, my own in my county. And it occurred to me that when I do get back on Texas, I need to go and see the sheriff, right? So I would encourage you to do the same too. I'm only going to notice these people one time. So anyway, I would encourage us all to start. Don't leave it for somebody else to do. Don't leave it.
If I can add to that, Julie, people. There are only 3,100 sheriffs nationwide in charge of their counties. That's 3,100 counties, 3,100 sheriffs for those counties. If everybody does what Julie is suggesting, then we could cover this whole thing in a very short time frame. So very good suggestion. I like that.
Just 3,100. Gosh, and think about this. How many of us are there? Come on. We can do that, right? It never occurred to me until earlier in this call. I had this thought, and I didn't do anything with it. But this man who just spoke up just recalled that little flash that went through my mind of, hey, you know what? It's never occurred to me to go and speak to my sheriff. What if we all did that? And I'm talking about a non-aggressive way. We can break up 3,100 sheriffs. Come on, if I had the financing, I could do that in a year on my own, just me. I'm okay. Well, maybe that's arrogance, but I think I could wake up 3,100 sheriffs in a year. But think about this: we might could do that.
Well, there you go, right?
If everybody.
Julie.
Huh?
Julie, there you go, right there. You know, we all fund Julie, and she can get this over with in 1 year. She can do this. I mean, I'm all for that idea. I mean, you have to keep going along with it. I mean, you can see it right there. And I mean, hey, I believe in you. And that's the first time I heard it from you, but I believe in you. You know, we all funded you, and you can get it done.
This guy
hey, let's go.
Put my money where my mouth is, isn't he? He's like, you put your money where your mouth is, girl. You go wake them up. I don't have the money to go.
I mean, I'm all for that, though. I mean, honestly, I am.
We can do that. We can. We absolutely can. Put that into perspective. That's nothing. 3,100 people, I swear to God, we could do that in 30 days. Really.
I mean, all it takes is, you know, a few people from every state willing to go and talk to their sheriff in their county. And
you know what, Bruce?
Yeah, I agree.
You know what, Bruce? I guess in some way, I have to admit, and this is subconsciously, I'm calling myself out on this, actually, because I guess in some way I thought that you were going to go to all the sheriffs. But that's just foolish, and I hope nobody else is thinking that stupidly. Like,
you know, I try to go. I have gone to a lot of them in Colorado and other states, and talk to them. I do that every time I get the chance. And you know what? If you go to them and you do it in a polite manner and say, listen, you know, if there's corruption going on in your county, wouldn't you want to know about that? Well, and they always say yes. And so there's your lead-in right there. You just start with, well, are you aware of the fact that your county is a corporation and it's not supposed to be? There's nowhere in the Constitution where it allowed that. And you just go from there and start that conversation. And you know, bring those sheriffs onto these shows. Bring them onto the nationwide judges and marshals call. Bring them onto the all of these shows and let them listen and educate themselves to the truth.
Bruce, listen, I'm going to call myself out right now on my crap, okay? Listen to this. It just occurred to me that in some form or fashion I was waiting for you to get to my sheriff. This is ridiculous. Let's look at this. Bruce, do you recall me practically begging you to take me with you to educate? Because I told you, I said, Bruce, I think I could do it. Because I feel like people are really respond to me, and I'd like to go with you. But do you remember that? And
I do.
The thing. I have to call myself out on this. This is BS. I have not even gone to my own sheriff myself. So I'm going to tell you this. Listen, I'm almost giddy with it. Okay, I'm going to try to calm down. You guys, everybody on this call or listens to the recording later, I'm challenging you now. I'm going to my sheriff. When I get back to Texas, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my sheriff, and I challenge you to do the same thing, as well as I challenge you to take your oath next week, okay? So when I talk to you guys again, I want to hear. I'm going to take over your show.
No, it's your show. Hey, Julie, this is not my show. Okay, it's really not. And now it's your show. You're one of the hosts on this. So you better be here every week, okay?
I'm going to take my oath next week, and I expect you guys to be taking yours as well. And I'm going to tell you about meeting with my sheriff, and I want to hear that you guys did too. Let's get this done. Let's get it done.
You're a great motivator, Julie. You may.
Yeah,
you
so
may,
she was saying about taking the oath. Yeah, so she was speaking about taking the oath the next week too, and if I can encourage somebody else to do it, I'm all for taking the oath. It's probably a little easier for me to take it that way, but I'm all for taking it that way. Maybe it can be a big encouragement to others, to step up and want to do it too, so.
Okay. For everybody that. Go ahead, Julie. What's your name, sir?
Sir, what do we call you?
Yes, Willie Oliver.
Willie
Oliver.
Okay, next week. Willie, next
week. Yes, Willie.
You take your oath with me next week, okay?
Okay, I can do that. I've been talking to Marshall Haywood about it already.
Okay. And what
me and my wife
what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody on this call Marshall Haywood's number. You can contact her. You can get copies of your oath, and she can explain to you what you need to take your oath to be ready for next Sunday. So everybody grab your pencil again. Boy, Marshall Haywood's going to get swamped tomorrow. God bless her. She is a hard-working little girl. Okay, people. Marshall Haywood's phone number is 404-640-4279. And one more time, 404-640-4279. Let's flood her phone tomorrow, people, and let's everybody get your oaths, get your stamps, get your witnesses ready for next Sunday night. So thank you for that, Willie, and you have inspired us all with your question, sir.
Geraldine, may I?
Geraldine, you may, dear.
Okay, what stamps are you talking about? Because I got to do my oath to get out of the system.
You need to get postal stamps, $1 postal stamps, and not postal service stamps, post office stamps. They will be a white background with red and blue on them, and they will be $1 stamps. You need 2 $1 stamps for each original. So if you're going to do 5 originals, that would be a book of 10. So that'll cost you $10. Okay?
And then what do you do with them?
You go to the post office and you tell them that you want 10 $1 stamps. And those are your bond. So each one of those stamps will represent a $100,000 post office bond. And if we're taking our oaths to become a marshal or a judge or a grand jury administrator, then we're required to be bonded as well. And your bond is handled through the Postal Service. So that's why you need the stamps. We will take those stamps and we will cancel them out. And when we cancel them out on your document, then that ensures or it is the insurance for your oath.
And you do that for the one to exit the system also?
You don't need to do it for the one to exit the system. This is just for the judges, marshals, and grand jury administrators. Okay, so for just exiting the system, no, you don't need a stamp to exit the system, okay?
I got to start at pre-kindergarten here, preschool.
Geraldine, I have, and the first time you spoke up on this call tonight, I wanted to jump in there and say I didn't have an opportunity, but I recognize your name previous times that I've been on these calls, and you're just darling, and I love your questions, and I see you already developing very quick, probably quicker than you realized. But you're so detail oriented, and I like that. And it's certainly not up to me what avenue you pursue, but just your detail and your questions are very detailed and very specific. And I might even recognize a little OCD in them, which I love a little touch of OCD because I have it myself, but that's just a term loosely used for somebody who likes things to be just right and just so. So anyway, you might even consider being a grand jury. What are you calling them? The coordinator or what, Bruce? I don't know.
Well, I've been on two times now, the California grand jury call. And they've got to drive out. They need to get enough people just for a pool. And this is for the state people's grand jury. So I downloaded the handbook, the jurors, marshals, and judges handbook. Good. So I've read probably 2/3 of that. I kind of wanted to know what I was getting into, and so I'm in the process of that.
Because I'm a reader
and
too.
I've gotten off the voter rolls. I got off the voter rolls. I pulled out of Medi-Cal, which is like Medicare. I mean, not Medicare, Medicaid, every place else. So I came up for reevaluation on that, and I said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So I've pulled out of that. So then that means I've got to pay my own, the Part B for Medicare and the supplements. So that's another step for me. So those are a couple baby steps.
Well, I congratulate you. And I guess it's just coincidence because there was another call. I guess it was just one. I thought maybe it was more than one, that I recognized your name and your voice. And so, don't, what does the Bible say? Out of the mouths of babes. You realize, of course, I think you're very timid, and I think you come across as kind of unsure, but I think you're more aware than what you realize, and your attention to detail, I think, could be put to very good use. And so I would encourage you to hurry up and get that book read and jump on board and get to rowing. And, you guys, y'all know, I've told y'all before, so what is it? I've been awake maybe 14 months, and you guys are listening to me. So, Geraldine, don't think that you just don't know enough. You do. And just get out there, finish that reading, and get out there. I think you're going to be an asset. So don't just get out of the matrix, right? Jump out of the matrix, wake up, which you've already done, and get on board, right? I want to see. I want to hear that you've taken an oath and you've got a job to do. So get out there.
Well, the administrator for the state grand jury sent me the application for the grand jury, but I wasn't sure that I knew enough, and so anyway, that's a work in progress.
We learn as we go.
Not that big. That's right. You're going to learn more when you jump in. You'll learn more, and you'll learn faster because you have to. We've learned by doing, really far better than we do. I like to read something before I do something, and not to tell you too much, but I was pregnant at 19. I started being a mother, and they were talking to me about nursing. So I got books about it, and it was very successful. And whatever I do, I like to get a book, and I want to learn about it. But don't get too caught up in your book, right? Because that child is almost here, girl, and you're going to have to start nursing it. So you get that book read, and get out there and do it. You got this, okay? You're gonna excel. Trust me, you will.
Thank you.
I don't know, was that too much?
No, that was perfect.
Too much.
Okay.
That really helps because there's a lot of.
And Geraldine has been on. Geraldine has been on lots of these calls. She hasn't been on just one or two. I've heard that voice and recognized that for a while now. Yes, it's time. That was good motivation, Julie. Thank you.
Yes, I may.
Appreciate that.
Geraldine, are you done, dear?
I yield. I yield. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to ask Julie something she stated a little bit earlier about she was making motions to the judge in some case. Doesn't is she challenging jurisdiction? Once you make a motion, does not that automatically grant jurisdiction when you're asking the court to do something?
Not necessarily.
Does that give them jurisdiction?
No.
Okay. Well, let me explain. Okay. If I felt that the case had anything to do with me, right, I would just direct them as to what to do. Okay. But what I wanted to do with this case, okay, when originally they had me coming before the judge who had me arrested by 5 people assaulted me. Okay. So I was very afraid because I know she's off her rocker, right? But once it got changed to a different judge, then I stopped the fear. I was like, okay, look, this is not someone who's assaulted you before. Act accordingly. So what I did was I filed into the case the DBA paperwork that they are prosecuting the name. Now, as the agent of the name, I can move in motions, and this is what I've been talking to people about is I have no desire to go in there and to attempt to flip this court from their legal into a common law situation. I personally know people who have tried to do that and have failed. I don't want to do that. I just want to look at the system and say, what in the hell are you guys doing and making work for you? And why can't I take that same system and make it work for me without altering it at all, okay? I want to go the easy way, okay? It's not because I'm lazy. Well, I don't know, maybe it is. I just don't want to toil in without bearing any fruit. So
if I may, Julie?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just for everybody else's knowledge, you can take a court in an admiralty jurisdiction, and you can very easily and very painlessly flip it from their jurisdiction to a common law court, and you do that with what's called a court of records. And it is a simple 1 or 2 page filing where you you can flip that, and we have done that successfully. So it can be done. Yes. Julie is not used to doing it that way. That's fine. But right. I want people to know that you can very easily do that as well. I yield.
Yeah. I don't have any I don't have experience with that, and I don't have personal.
You're going to get experience.
Yeah. But so when I'm talking and I'm referring to motions and stuff, it's because I have the DBA and the person is the principal, and that's what they're going after. So what I wanted to do with the case in Lubbock was to show people how to administrate the case. And by the way, I do have a considerable risk involved by going that route, but I want to go ahead and run the race with them, and I want to reverse engineer everything. I'm totally prepared to make a verbal motion and follow it up immediately with a written motion for a psych eval on the prosecutor. So what I want is to be able I'm going to be recording this. What I want is to be able to show you guys that if you're not able or you don't know how to flip a court, if you're like me and you just don't know how you're going to pull that off, then just go in and
if I may, Julie,
right? And just
there's something I don't understand.
Well, hold on.
You're moving forward fast, and I just wanted to kind of stop you before you move to other things. If you're in the court, and it's really not a valid court, and it's not even even a court of record that you're in?
No.
Well,
if it's not a court of record, it's not even a court, and you're doing all this stuff. And are they a valid court or not?
Well, see, there's two ways to look at that. If they think that they're prosecuting me, then it's an invalid court. But if I can go in there and turn, I'm going to say this, if I can turn their buttholes inside out with administrating that name properly, then I can walk away with recordings and examples of, you understand, they want me in a cage for 2 years, right? So it's kind of tricky, and I may at some point just say I've had enough of this, and we're going to flip this court. I don't know. I don't have a glass ball, but what I'm saying is,
Julie, I didn't know. If I may, I didn't understand what you meant about a DBA. DBA. A lot of people out here, when you say DBA, see, this is I have like about five questions here, and what it all comes down to is is there guidelines? What's the guidelines to achieve success for new people? Is there some type of maybe a list, step 1, step 2, step 3, if you want to achieve something, whether it's status or travel rights or a counterclaim? Is there somewhere there could be a list that says do step 1, 2, 3, and that maybe 1 is at this website and go to this section at this website. Number 2 is go to another website.
Okay, hold on.
Documents.
Hold on. I can answer that question for you, and I'm going to. Okay, and this is not with what Julie is suggesting right now. However, it is what we are currently winning cases with, okay? Now, Julie has got more balls than any man I ever met, and I will say that just flat out. I mean, and she can actually, and her work is actually brilliant. I mean, she's led by the Spirit, so I don't want to take away from anything that she's doing. But if you're just getting involved with this and you're wanting to know how to win these cases and you're wanting step-by-step procedures, have you got a pencil handy?
You know how to do everything properly, and comprehensively.
Right. No, and that's what you're going to learn, so hold on. Do you have a pencil handy?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, 1215, that's 1215.org. And that is Bill Forson's website, and that will explain to you how to do a court of records, and it's got even a thing that says start here. Where it says start, you follow, and it'll take you step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It'll take you right through it. Don't miss a step, and it gives you all the samples as to how to do it and all of that as well. And it does work.
Yeah, I've heard Bill Thornton.
Yeah, and that's who it is.
And it sounds very impressive.
Yeah, and so this is Bill's work, and this is Bill's website. It does work. We just won a case, actually a foreclosure case, in the last week or two, using that. So, but it'll work for traffic tickets or whatever you have. Okay. So if you want step-by-step process, what Julie is telling you is going to be really confusing, and a lot of it is untested, and we still have to test it. So I wouldn't recommend that you try to jump right in and do what Julie's doing. Okay?
Right.
So, what happens when you're on the line and you have like 7 to 10 days and to make a quote unquote an appearance, and you're going into their arena.
Buckle down and get it done. You can do it in 7 to 10 days. I mean, you're going to have to spend some time. You're going to have to spend some time on the computer, and he's got 3 1-hour recordings that you're going to have to listen to, and you may have to listen to them a couple of times. But if you go through the whole site, you can do it in one day, including prepare the paperwork.
Okay, let me jump in for a second and explain something to you.
All right, just don't confuse this poor guy, okay? Because he's not at your level. Okay.
Okay, so, sir, let me be clear. That I am familiar with the Bill Thornton name, and I'm familiar with people who are very educated on that. I want to address first off. You said you want the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but
the guidelines
to your attention. Sure, I want to make sure you understand that regardless of how you choose to skin that cat, you're dealing with a different judge.
I lost you. Are you there? Test 1, 2.
Hello?
I could hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think they dropped. Their call dropped or something.
Tested.
Revolution News and Information still here. Looks like they.
Yeah, we lost them on.
Yeah,
I think Julie dropped off. Maybe it's her Skype or something.
We lost Bruce and.
Hello.
We just gotta wait.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say hello.
That's Pam.
Hey, what you up to?
I think I think I know what happened. His battery died.
I don't know. I was wondering what the office Julie is running for. She said she's going to take her oath. Oath for what? Does anybody know?
Julie's not here right now.
She said she's going to take an oath for Continental Judge.
Judge? Mm-hmm.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sure can.
Yes.
Toasted.
If you'd like to,
for you.
if you'd like to all join in the conversation, hit star. But yes, go ahead.
Marsha in Florida. Now, when I'm doing my oath for the marshal, and
hold on a second. We got him back.
We are
back. I'm gonna pass the floor back to you, Judge Doucette.
Okay, we are back. I guess they didn't want us giving advice to people, but that's okay. We're back. Okay, Julie, go ahead and continue where you were. Oh, hold on. Let me see if Julie, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and continue where you were, dear.
I didn't give up the floor. Okay, so I'm panicked. I'm like, get me back in there right now. So I'm actually piggyback to Bruce. So so when he fell off, I fell off. Okay, so back to my point is that if you get focused on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they throw the 4 at you when you're still on 2.5, and you're like, wait, that's not till 5. You're not supposed to be asking for a psych eval until 5. Okay, so when you're looking for a template type situation and you're dealing with different people, different judges, different perspectives, that you still need to be flexible. And the only way to be flexible is to know what the hell you're saying and doing, okay? So
no, I'm not asking that, Julie. I'm not asking about that. What I'm asking is, what are the documents, the foundational documents that should be established, like maybe notarized or witness documents that you should be in to have in with your status, and so you don't have to say a word if necessary. That let's say you got laryngitis, you can't talk. Those documents are in there as fact, as truth.
Okay. So hold on, Julie. Julie, let me grab this one because you don't know. you don't know court of record stuff. With the court of record stuff, you can't put 4 before 3 or 2 before 1, or you can't put them before. So if you just go to Bill's website and you follow that step by step, everything that you need to turn that case around without saying a word in court is right there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say a thing. You don't have to say a thing. You just follow what Bill has put forward, do it exactly like that, and when you go to court, if the judge asks you anything, just say, it's in my paperwork. It's all right there. And that's it. That's all you say. Okay? And he will tell you that. So it is there, and it is made so that it is impossible for you to screw up if you just follow what's there. But learn what's there and understand what you're doing. Okay?
Now,
because this judge, just like Bill is going to tell you, this judge is going to come back and challenge you. Okay? He's going to try to overrule you. Well, when he does that, you don't have to say anything in court other than I object. And then you have to go and fill out the paperwork and do a writ of error and slap the judge around a little bit and tell him he has no place in your court.
I have a question.
Your court. Okay.
I have a question. I cannot object if I'm challenging jurisdiction. You can't object, can you? You can't make a motion. When you're challenging jurisdiction,
no.
You can't make a motion. You can't object. You can't do anything.
Sir, hold on.
No, you can object to anything that the judge is saying that you don't like.
Hold on. Okay? It is your court. When you file a counterclaim in a court of records, then it's your court. You can do whatever the hell you want. The judge is the one that can't object. The judge is the one that can't make a motion. Okay? He's going to try to, because he's going to try to test you. All of this is covered in that website. Everything. All your questions are answered if you just go to the website and you learn that website until you know it inside and out. Bill has done an awesome job of putting this together in a step-by-step process. And in a court of records, the judge can't say anything. And yes, you can object and do whatever you want because it's your court. You're the king.
Okay, but you have to establish that. But
that is done before you go into court. That is done when you file your paperwork. Okay?
So does that have to do with those 5 documents? The what is it called? The Declaration of
No. Doesn't have anything to do with any of those. Doesn't have anything to do with any of those. Please, sir, go to the website and listen to it first, and then if you've got questions, come back and ask me.
Now,
okay?
I feel that it is worthy of mentioning that I think one of Bill Thornton's best students is the reason why I have so aggressively attacked the administrative side. So, sir, I want to tell you that what I'm doing is not Bill Thornton's method, okay? Is that I'm trying to forge a different way for options. But I feel it is necessary, and it may not be appreciated that I'm going to bring this up, but I feel it is necessary. One of Bill Thornton's best students is Grete, and they have kidnapped him. And I will say, after his last hearing, that he has gained some control over that situation, but they still have him kidnapped and contained, and they are doing everything they can to prevent him. So what they told him was, yes, your paperwork is in, because some of the best people wrote his paperwork for him because they kidnapped him, okay? So he couldn't do his paperwork. He didn't even have paper. So the thing is, I had the absolute best common law people do his paperwork for him, and it was amazing. And they told him, yes, your paperwork is before the court, but not this court. And they wouldn't take him to the court that it was before, okay? So that's the reason that's the driving force behind what I'm trying to do is if you're not able to, with that court, because I'm telling you, Brent has had access to Bill Thornton like you wouldn't believe. and he knows Bill Thornton's stuff backwards and forwards. And so I just...
Julie, you're going to confuse him. Okay, Julie.
Where's the examples of Brent's documents? That's what I'd like to see, examples.
Yeah, Brent has won like 98 cases, so he's won a lot of cases.
No. I'm not talking about Jeremy.
Jeremy,
I'm
okay.
About Brent. I'm talking about Brent in Indiana, who I'm going to Indiana on the 17th. So no, but this is one of Bill Thornton's top students. So I just want to tell you that when you get Bill Thornton's stuff, and there are people who are successful, and there are people, it doesn't matter what you do. You get some crazy judge, you get some crazy people, and you better know how to be flexible and to sway with the wind is what I'm saying, okay?
Okay, and that I'll agree with.
There's no guarantee. There's no
guarantee. And, sir, to answer your question, the examples are on Bill's website, okay?
Okay.
So you've got to go there. You've got to go there, and you've got to do it.
And if you want to see Brent's paperwork, you can go to Brent Swallers, and I believe that on Facebook, I believe that you should be able to look at his stuff. If not, send me a text message. I'll sign into his account and accept.
I don't have text.
Okay.
I don't have text.
Well, okay. Well, maybe you can call somebody who has text message and text me, or just keep trying.
If one calls your phone number, does it go through? Can I say this is a text message?
If you'll just call me like 2 or 3 times in a row, I'll be like, oh crap, I didn't answer that.
Do you have you do have Brent's documents or something that you could forward, or what?
Actually, I can give you the documents that are top notch. Because I had them created and I put them into the case for him. But the stuff that he does on his own, yes. If you'll call me a couple times in a row,
I'll call you. That's good. That sounds good.
Do you have my number?
Yeah, I have it.
Earlier.
5438.
Okay. Huh?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll email them to you then. Okay.
Okay.
God bless you.
It's getting late here, people. We're already well over 4 hours on this call. So, if anyone has an absolutely important question, we will take this. Otherwise, it's going to be time to close this down. So going once.
I do have one more question for Julie, and it was about the bond. You said when your bond, they threw you in a Crowbar motel. You had to get a bail bondsman, and you said once you went in there the first time at that first appearance, that was satisfied. That bond was satisfied. Did you say that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did say that.
And how do you take care of that? How do you cancel these bail bonds? That's what I'd like to know. I mean, they want your firstborn child.
We don't have the time to cover all of this on this call here. If you can do it quick, Julie.
I'll give you a short answer to that. That bond is satisfied because I said it's satisfied, and that is it. That's the end of that story right there. And anybody who disputes it can come knocking on my door, and they'll eat a 45 if they're locked and loaded. I guarantee you that. So because that bond is satisfied because I came, and it is satisfied because I said it's satisfied, and I am the highest authority, and that is so.
Okay. All right, with that, people, we're going to wrap it up for another Sunday night. It's gone way longer than I wanted it to. Julie, thank you. It is. But, okay, so for tonight, we're going to be finished for this fund. I hope everybody joins us next week for the fund that we'll have swearing everybody in. And God bless to everybody. Make sure that you understand that this is a spiritual battle that we're fighting. Any of you people that are on here making comments, if you're not right with your Heavenly Father, you're not going to be protected by Him, and that is the only protection that we have. And with that, I will say good night to all.
If I may,
go ahead.
I'm out.
Yeah, go ahead.
And after I'm done, no more. All right. If I may make a suggestion that if you want to make a certain time that a lot of people want to be sworn in, we can. I can do a custom recording, and your oath can be recorded on the Revolution News and Information YouTube channel. But I'm going to pass it over to Judge Doucette on that, and no more questions, no more comments.
Yeah, well, everybody that is on the call next week, your call, if you're swearing in on the call, your oath will be recorded on Revolution News and Information for all to hear. So, with that all, good night all.
Good night. Jules out.
Good night. Good night.
And I'm going to unlock the recording for any. I'm going to stop the recording and unlock the call for anybody that would like to have a conversation after the call. This is Toasted, and this has been a Sunday night call with Judge Doucette, exposing the great deception that is the Matrix. And with that, I yield, and I'm turning off all recordings.